Hello.
Hello.
All right. Green, might as well get this started, right?
Yep. Hello. I am GreenSpeed. This is Monster Hunter World, and I am joined by Jal Bagel. Say hi, Bagel.
Hello, Bagel.
The start of this game doesn't have a whole lot going on, so we can explain more about it once it starts. Manix, are you ready to start?
Ready? Can I just join you to that? Hello, Bagel. Whenever
Hello,
you guys are
Bagel.
ready, take it away.
Yep. Bagel, you want to give us a countdown?
Yep. We'll go ahead and get this started on go. In 3, 2, 1, go. And we are off. So if you've never seen a Monster Hunter game before, you're about to see this one very quick and very fast, very speedy. But it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a monster hunting action RPG game. This is the what we call 5th generation. This game appeared on PC, Xbox, PlayStation. So it gained a really big following really quickly because it was the first time that it came to PC and main series consoles. If you aren't familiar with this game or its story, I'll paraphrase it for you. A gigantic mountain has wrecked our ship, and we now don't have a boat, and we want to claim insurance on that so we can get our boat fixed so we can, go do what we need to do, right? Like, it's the weekend, we want to go run some errands. We just wrecked our ship. So we're going to go and figure out why this gigantic mountain just wrecked our ship. That's the whole story, is getting our boat fixed. But this game is really cool. The way that it kind of progresses is through what we call assigned missions. There are also optional missions, which we won't be doing. Everything's going to be an assigned mission. And as we progress through those, the story is going to progress with us. It's a very straightforward kind of story progression system. Also makes routing for this game really easy, and we'll talk more about that when it happens. But just like any other action RPG game, we got a bunch of different weapons that we can choose from. There's 14 weapons in the game, and Green's going to be using 2 of them throughout the entire run, Switch Axe and Sword and Shield. And we'll explain a little bit more why we use each of those when we get to those points. But just to keep in mind, we will be switching between those 2 weapons. And I mean, it's because they're the fastest, right? They are speedy boys.
Yep.
So it turns out that this mountain was a monster. Who knew?
Yeah. The moving mountain wasn't just a mountain.
Weird. But we are now in kind of tutorial land. This is the ancient forest, and our partner here, the handler, is going to be showing us the ropes and also making us an article to petty theft. She stole this map from that tent that is not ours and gave it to us, so we're implicated. So now we have to keep her along with us. But the game introduced a lot of cool things. One of the cooler things is the stealth mechanic, which we use throughout the run to interrupt, monster AI and kind of chain together certain behaviors. This game is absolutely beautiful, contrary to what Green is showing right now. He's actually running the game at the lowest quality possible to get the fastest load times. It actually makes a considerable difference, especially for an RTA showcase. We want to get the fastest real time for you guys right now. But if you do go and play it yourselves, put it up to max, melt your CPU, and have a blast with it, because this game is really good looking. We are wearing a rather unique piece of equipment right now. This whole blue kind of armor piece. This is called the Defender gear. We are allowed to use this equipment and other equipment that we have collectively called add-ons in this category. Right, this is Xeno percent. So we're allowed to use these things. The add-ons include a bunch of different equipments and items that were introduced to the game after the game came out. So it kind of changed how this speedrun is done, and we wanted to make sure that those categories got separated and preserved. So no add-ons still exists, but we're going to be doing add-ons because it makes for a very fast, very consistent speedrun. The fast part comes from the weapon that we'll be using. It is the strongest weapon in the base game experience. It's just the best thing that we could possibly have in the game, which is awesome. And it also only takes a single part from specific assigned missions to upgrade them. Very convenient. And we're always guaranteed to get at least one of those upgrade materials. But Green's going to be hoping for a couple extra to make some equipment routing a little bit easier. The last kind of thing to note before we get into the next area is the language of the game. We are playing the game in a different language. It's not even a real language. It's a fake language called the Monster Hunter language. It's an amalgamation of Japanese and French translated back and forth between themselves. Gaijin Hunter, a Monster Hunter content creator, made a really cool video talking about the Monster Hunter language and how it was created all the way back in like 3U. But we are using it specifically for a council meeting kind of a portion of the game. The council meetings, we'll have a couple of them throughout the game. They're weird because they have some text that we can advance with mashing and some text that only advances with the voice acting. The really nice thing about Monster Hunter language is that they convey an entire sentence in a single grunt, and so it actually advances a lot faster. Say hi to Anjanath, we'll be seeing him later. But this is Monster Hunter. We've done it. We did it. We hunted, and we made it to the 7-polygon boat.
Yeah. We'll hunt something soon, I promise.
Yeah, the beginning of this game takes a little bit to take off, but not quite like the previous iterations of the Monster Hunter series. This is Astera. This game is built hub-based, so between quests we'll be coming back to this hub to kind of prepare ourselves, change equipment, buy new items, talk to other NPCs to progress the story, and accept a new quest. Right now, we have the field team leader, aka Matt Mercer, showing us around Astera and showing us all the different facilities that Astera has to offer, including, like the canteen and the armorer and our room, which is right there to the right, which we'll never go in. But he's just kind of showing us around, which is also going to kind of show off this really weird walking animation. When NPCs want to show us different areas, the game forces us into this walking animation, and we can actually get out of this walking animation by getting far enough away from the NPC that's causing it. In this case, it's the field team leader right behind us who is creating this walk radius. Once we escape it, we can then start running again as long as we don't fall back into it. So Green's going to do a little trick here that we lovingly call Mercer Skip. That we all love Matt Mercer, but he does make us walk really slow here. We don't want to lose like 20 seconds walking across this bridge. Instead, we're going to get our good old Mercer Skip. Don't fail it.
It'll be fine.
So we just kind of aim ourselves at these crates over here. Green's going to take a super tight turn. Ooh, nice. And now we get to run all the way across this instead of doing that really slow walk.
Feels great.
And then this is our first example of a council meeting. We've got a bunch of the NPCs around, and you can see that Green was advancing text, and then suddenly it stopped. That text is the one that's linked to the voice acting. So the faster the voice acting, the faster this text goes away. All in all, it saves, what, a minute? 45 seconds?
45 seconds based on the areas we thought to time out.
Yeah. It might save more, it might lose some, but for now, Monster Hunter language appears to be the fastest. And we tried out a couple of other languages too and compared them, which everything else seems to be pretty similar, and then just Monster Hunter language appears to be faster. So this is the only time that we're going to come into the room, and while we are in here, we're going to be picking our first weapon. Green's going to start off using the SNS for two reasons. One, because it's the fewer number of inputs while we're in this box, so it is a time save. And two, because the weapon is absolutely cracked out of its mind. With the addition of Iceborne, it got a move called Perfect Rush, and Perfect Rush is what makes this weapon melee heavy bowgun. It's great. It's awesome. Love it, love it, love it. We are coming up to our first quest, our first assigned mission. It is a small monster quest, just kind of showing us the ropes of the new world, right? And we are gonna have to slay 7 Jagras. We're trying to use a really cool strategy with that, where we use torch pods and small monster AI to force them to slay themselves. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, very cool tech. Was very surprised when I first saw it.
Yeah, and this is actually one of the strategies that's been in the speedrun probably the longest, right? Like as far as like specific routing and movement strategies go, this one's been around for at least 2 or 3 years. We were doing this back in base game before Iceborne even came out.
Yeah.
Handler's just telling us more stuff. Something else to note about text clearing in this game too is that it's a little wonky. One input will complete the text instead of it scrolling in; it'll just pop into existence, and then another input will clear it. So what we can do is we can stagger A and B input, or X and circle, or accept and deny input, one right after the other to clear, to complete and then clear the text as fast as we can. You can't really do this by mashing, but you can get a really good cadence going between the two inputs. It's really neat. So we grab these slinger torch pods here. What the slinger is a slingshot on our wrist. When we shoot torch pods at the ground, it does create a little bonfire. And when monsters run into those, they do get damaged. So all we have to do is just slay 2 of these joggers here, then Green's going to put down some more of these torch pods, and the rest of the joggers outside of the den are going to try to run in. Now, there's 6 of them out there, but we need to slay 7, so Green's got to slay 1 more. There it is right there, and then he's going to start running towards another objective. Perfect. Beautiful, beautiful joggers. So you can see they're all kind of laying out there because they all kept running into that fire. They have really low health, and that fire takes care of them. But now we have to do some gathering in this 60-second end timer to help us capture the next monster that we fight. This is a strategy that Green came up with that we so lovingly call Capture Jagras or Capris. It's a fantastic name. I think I said it as a joke once, and Green's like, no, I love it.
No, I came up with the name and you hated it initially.
You're right. But we're going to need some sleep herb here and some spider webs. When we say the word capture, we mean a very specific thing. We mean putting down a trap, throwing 2 trank bombs, and then having the monster's health be under 30%. Green's also going to take some time here and set up a radial menu. This is a kind of quick access menu that he can use to craft and check kind of the inventory management that he's doing. He got everything that he needed to get completed on there now. And so we can go right into the next fight. Capturing does a couple different things for us. Like I said, the monster has to be at 30% health. So instead of hunting a monster to 0% health, we can end the quest by hunting it to only 30% health using capturing. The other part of this too is that end quest timer that we just saw there was 60 seconds long. Instead, it'll only be 20 seconds long. So at a minimum, we're saving 40 seconds every single fight that we capture a monster. And now, with the advent of Capris, we can capture every single large monster in the game. Hey, Green, where are you going?
To the wrong place.
He wants to go hunting. He's ready. But Green needs his switch axe first. So we talked earlier about add-ons, and with that includes the Defender weapons, and here we're going to get our first one. Defender weapons are awesome because they only take 1 iron ore to make. They're very strong. They only take 1 item as we progress through the game to make them. They have a blast element on them, which means 1 every 3 hits is going to explode, dealing a fixed amount of damage to the monster. It's very, very helpful and also very unhelpful later. But we're using Switch Axe very specifically because of an attack that it has called Zero Sum Discharge, which allows us to pinpoint on on the monster a single point to deal massive amount of damage to. We're going to use that to chain different types of status conditions. One very in particular called a Clagger. We're going to use that to chain these together, and that'll be more evident in later hunts. These first couple of hunts, though, we're mostly just going to be swinging the Switch Axe wildly until the things die.
Do we have time for a couple donations before the next fight?
Absolutely, because all we have to do is just go and fight a couple of Jurassic Park rejects. So let's hear them.
Perfect. So Matt Hughes Struggle donated $50 and says, "Here's a donation for the GoFundMe to repair the ship that Zora destroyed. Hope you can get this insurance information. Good luck with the run, Green." And
Thank
Kate
you,
8976 also donated $18, saying, "For sure thought you would miss Mercer Sleep." Reminder that while Green is hunting dinosaurs, dragons, and wyverns, we are hunting for donations. Fight the evil monster that is cancer to make the world a better place. You can all tell me how bad that word pun was. Back to you guys.
That was great.
No, you did great. You did fantastic. So this is Kestodon. We have to slay 2 groups of Kestodon here for a grand total of 8 Kestodon. The problem about this, though, is that these are small monsters and they like to move around in very weird ways. You can see that just one's walking away from the whole group. But this is actually a really good grouping right now. And you can also notice that every now and then there's a really big explosion. Nice. That's like one of mine.
That was... I killed them before the field team leader got to where he was going.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was really good RNG. They stayed grouped up. He got a lot of blast procs on those monsters. A blast proc on a Keston just outright kills it. And like I said, it's 1 in 3 hits. And with Switch Axe dealing additional damage on its file proc mechanic, it is really nice getting a lot of those blast procs like that. But this is our next objective. Great Jagras. This is our first large monster, and we're going to go for him right now. Green's going to have to do a little bit of exploring here, but it actually all works out because we're waiting for him to get under an environmental trap in the next area. Environmental traps in this game can be triggered and then deal a fixed amount of damage, 5%, to the monster, as well as creating a knockdown effect. And depending on the trap, that knockdown effect lasts a different duration. The rock drop is... a pretty average duration. It's like 8 seconds, right?
I have no clue.
But we're going to be grabbing these parashrooms first. It's going to help us make the trank bombs that we need. And Green's going to grab this ivy. And this ivy right here really makes Capris possible. Where are you going?
Vines, please.
It's perfectly fine, though. He's got plenty of time to get here. The Jagras is moving under the rock now, and as long as Green positions himself the right way, when he shoots this, it's going to alert Jagras and move him into a position that he still gets hit by the rock. Beautiful. Now we're going to go ahead and pre-trank the monster and put down a trap. When we use a trank bomb, we have to use 2 of them to meet the trank threshold, and then it slowly starts ticking down like any other status in this game. Think if it goes up to 100, and then it starts ticking down slowly, 99, 98, every second. What we need to do now is deal enough damage to the Jagras that it's at 30% health before the trap ends. Nice. Good blast proc there.
I don't think it would have worked without that blast proc.
Yeah, because I don't know if you actually landed the finisher on it, did you?
It hit the leg.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it was like maybe 20 or 30 less damage.
Mm-hmm.
Greedy blue mushroom grab there. So Green's only objective at the end of that quest, because he only has 20 seconds now, right? Instead of that nice big 60 seconds to go and do a bunch of gathering, he only had 20 there to grab that flash bug. And we need that flash bug for our next hunt, Kuliaku. Something to note, too, at the very end of all of these reward screens, Green is making a decision to either take all the rewards or sell them. And for the first couple of hunts, we're going to be taking them because what we want is iron ore. Is the big need right now. We need at least 6 iron ore, and we've gotten 4 so far, it looks like.
I have gotten 6 already.
Oh, you've gotten 6 already? How did I miss that?
I got 2 from Small Jaggers, and I just got 4 there.
Nice. Dude, he is slaying it.
The only thing I haven't seen is small bones.
That you haven't seen because you just didn't see them, or you just...
I didn't.
You, like, haven't seen them.
I noticed a green bone and 6 iron ore. I'm not sure if I have any small bones yet.
I'm certain you have small bones.
Yeah.
Small bones are pretty common, but we need small bones and 1 ancient bone to make a chest at about the 1/3 point through the game. 1/3? How would you say that? Like, instead of like halfway, the third way?
I think it actually is technically halfway in terms of how long the run takes.
Yeah, it might be, honestly. Oh, hey, cool. We get to show off the Anjanat stuff. So this is an expedition, and expeditions are really unique in that there is no quest timer. There is no... why are you doing it like this? Oh my god, this is nauseating.
Yeah, but it's the more direct line.
Oh my gosh, this actually works. No shot. Wow, that's hilarious. I've never seen you do that before. All right, so let me explain what Green just did there. That Anjanath is a 50-50 chance to spawn in that location. We don't want to look at him. We don't want to spot him. He doesn't exist to us. We do not want to perceive him. because if we do perceive him, we lose like 2.5 seconds to an audio dialogue that just happens. And for literally 2 years, we could not figure out why that was happening. And then one runner was like, wait, it doesn't happen when Anjanat's not there. And then we figured it out. Insane. So it just saves a little bit of time here on this audio dialogue. We don't get an extra one for spotting him. And as you can see, it doesn't lose any time just looking directly at the ground. But now we're going to go and fight Kuliaku. So Green has a flash pod equipped in his slinger. And Kuliaku has really cool AI when it is under the effects of a flash. A flash pod is essentially a flashbang. And when that happens, it makes the monster blind temporarily. So its attack patterns come a little erratic. Unless you're Kuliaku, in which case you stand perfectly still because you're too afraid to move. Green's going to be dealing a specific amount of damage to the head here to get that clagger. Now that clagger is a very unique type of animation. We use our clutch claw, which we'll see right here. We extend the duration of that clagger. Oh, he just didn't clagger again. That's fine though. We don't need it. But we can extend the duration of this, momentary stop by using our clutch claw on it. And it'll be more evident on the next fight. And then just 2 tranks and a trap. And we have scripted these fights out. We know exactly how much damage that we have to deal. But there are some other tells too, which when those come up, we'll talk about them because you actually dropped 0 pods there.
Yeah.
So far, so good. We're off to our next quest, Pookie Pookie. Now, Green might be making this look really easy. This is the culmination of literally thousands of hours of effort, taking advantage of every possible advantage that the game gives us. This is also the low rank portion of the game, so we sprint through this section. The next fight, though, has about double the HP of that Kuliaku, so it takes a little bit longer. And there's a little bit of RNG associated with another Anjanath spawn in this quest. We're hoping that the Anjanath isn't anywhere near us, so we can just go and fight this Pookie Pookie as fast as possible. And we'll get to see really where Switch Axe now shines with Clagger chaining. Pretty much what that means is that we're going to be ending our ZSD, our Zero Sum Discharge explosion, a little early as the monster is coming out of the Clagger animation. What that does is allows it to enter another Clagger. So we're going to do that over and over again by targeting the head and try to chain Claggers together to make sure that he doesn't move the entire time.
And no Anjanath.
No Anjan. Nice. So this is a Clutch Claw attack, and this is followed up immediately by a Wallbang. A Wallbang does about 2% damage, but what we really like it for is that it creates a long knockdown animation. And during this, Green has enough time to get into his amp state, which is a requirement to do ZSD. Clutch Claw onto the monster, and then begin to Zero Sum Discharge. You might also note that the monster just roared there, and it didn't affect him at all, and that's because Zero Sum Discharge does give you a passive level 4 earplugs, which means we're immune to some roars, which is really, really nice. But this is why we like Switch Axe, especially for monsters that do like to move around or can be a little obnoxious at times. Good morph.
That should be good.
Yeah. So we're going for our trap now. We're putting on the trap, and Green's being knowledgeable that this might not have been enough damage, but nope, it was perfect. You can see kind of a little red rock on the ground there. That's called a powerful slinger, and we can use those to figure out what the health of the monster is at. Every monster, with the exception of one that we will fight, will drop 2 pods at 30% health. So if you see 2 red pods on the ground and you didn't create any using a light weapon tenderize attack, then we know that the monster is at or below 30% health, which is the capture threshold. The only monster that this logic doesn't work on is Juratotus, which we'll be fighting in 2 quests. He actually drops his 3rd powerful slinger pod at 32% health. So when we see the 3rd one, we know we just have to do a little bit more damage. But Green has a really good script on that Juratotus, so we might not even see all of the pods, and he might just get the capture a lot faster. But before we do that, we have the best kind of quest. You may have noticed, if you ever played this game, there's a bunch of unskippable cutscenes. We've been skipping them. We have an amazing mod called Cutscene Skip Mod. Shout outs to the Monster Hunter modding community. Those guys are awesome. We have this mod to skip cutscenes. Except this one. We can't skip this one because it does cause the quest to soft lock. It's just something to do with the with one of the quest triggers. That quest trigger being this caravan that we are escorting around. That's right. The best kind of quest is in fact the worst kind of quest, an escort mission.
Yep.
But we actually don't mind it that much. It may seem slow, but it's actually really convenient because we gather like 60 or 70% of the materials that we need throughout the run right here. We gather so much. But Green's going to be doing a couple things here. He's going to be doing a inventory management here. He's going to move his trap tools, which is a requirement to make pitfall traps and shock traps, you know, the object that we will be using over and over again to capture monsters. He's going to be moving him to that first slot in his item box so he can restock them quickly. We're going to grab a quick meal. Eating is a really unique thing in this game. It provides 3 potential buffs. A randomized health bonus that can be anywhere between 0 and 50 health, depending on the quality of the meal. A static stamina bonus that is dependent on the quality of the meal. And then a flat specific bonus. In our case, we're eating the meat meal. So we're always going to get an attack boost bonus. We're getting attack small out of these meals now, which gives us a little bit more damage to just help do these quests a little bit faster. And then Green did one more thing before leaving the camp area. It was leaving the Palico behind. Say goodbye to our little feline friend because we will not be seeing him until the very end of the game. We do this for a couple of different reasons. There are some quest objectives that will pop up at the end of the game because of the Palico being there, right? Like it might pick up extra rewards or it might have leveled up. And that is another input that we just don't want. But the biggest reason that we leave it behind is monster AI. If we have a buddy with us, this Palico buddy with us, the monster AI will want to target between us and the buddy. That makes the monster a lot less predictable because it's harder to control where the Palico is going to be. So instead, we just leave it behind, making the fight a lot more predictable. Because our position and movement will actually have an influence on the monster's position and movement as well. Oh yeah, you don't need to grab iron ore here. You can just blitz through, grab all those bitter bugs. Nice.
I might actually be able to show off the cool tech here. I definitely
Are you going to climb before they... Oh, yeah, you're going to climb before?
I'm going to climb before, and then I'm going to pre-fill a map area.
This is entirely flashy and not necessary, by the way. What Green's about to do.
No, this does actually enable a tech that saves like 0.3 seconds later on.
Like I said, entirely flashy and not even required. But this is one of the checkpoints that we have to reach. We don't have to be with the caravan the entire time, as you can tell. Instead, we can just kind of run around and collect things, but then meet certain checkpoints. And like other NPCs, this has a map or a walk radius around it, which we are more or less avoiding. Man, this is the sweatiest literal frame of a time save, huh? Sick. You aren't gonna go grab that honey?
I
There's
don't have time.
Zach, Green just did this a little out of order. Like you said, it saves a marginal amount of time, but it still achieves the exact same thing, which is the next escort trigger, which is this Rathian showing up. Really funny thing about this, the caravan that you're escorting is like, hey, help us, make sure that we don't get attacked by this thing, and we just ignore them.
Yep. So the tiny little tech is we will have to fight a monster in this little area that we just filled in later. And because this is an escort mission, we can fill in that part of the map now instead of waiting to leave the quest later.
That is very funny. Restocking our trap tools here and boxing some bitter bugs. We'll be using those bitter bugs later, but just restocking some stuff to make sure that we have the materials that we need for the next couple of fights. Green also just made 2 Paraknives. Paraknives are a unique type of throwable consumable that will deal paralysis damage when it strikes a monster. He's going to be using these on the next monster that we fight to kind of ensure that it doesn't run around. There are 2 ways to do this fight. The way that Green does it, which is a lot smarter, and the way that I do it, which is Unga Bunga. I actually do really like the way that he does this fight a lot, but my single brain cell cannot figure it out. You may also notice that we are picking up a lot of the same items that we've already picked up. That's because we've been in the quest long enough for the respawn cycles for all the items in the world to finish. So all the items have respawned. We are gathering pretty much everything again for a second time, making sure that our inventory is full to the fullest of all of the items that we're going to need for, like I said, the majority of the run. And now we're just pretty much running to the next area where we're doing a lot of gathering just between here and there. The next thing that we're grabbing are nitro shrooms, and those are going to be used to make barrel bombs. And they're exactly what they sound like. They are bombs that explode and cause a fixed amount of damage. And we use them for openers, mostly because the monster is standing in a specific spot in assigned quests, because they usually start with a cutscene. And so we can take advantage of that by putting bombs in a location that the monster is going to be, or the monster, spawns in at. And then we just get a little bit of extra damage there. And this one's a really cool opener. I absolutely love this for a lot of different reasons. We have to we more or less locate the smallest speck in the history of the universe. I'm so happy that they put this here. Whoever put that speck in the sand right there, I love you, because it gives us the perfect location to put down this pitfall trap, which is where the Baroth will spawn when this quest starts. Oh, like I'd like to think that. Oh, go ahead.
This is the one cutscene in the game that's not exclusively triggered by the player's position, so it lets us do this cool setup.
Yeah. I'd like to think, too, that, in Capcom headquarters, they're developing Monster Hunter World, and they're like, guys, we need to put the sand texture down, and somebody made the texture, and they're like, why do we need this, like, one insignificant pebble here? It's like, don't worry about it. He's going to have a purpose in life.
That pebble is our best friend.
Oh yeah, it's a good pebble for sure. All right, so this quest now starts. Barroth's there, and immediately into the trap. We shoot this, a free 160 damage. Green's gonna re-equip his Paraknives, and then he is trying to set up a lot of damage on the arm here. Unlike all the other monsters that we have been fighting, this monster's head is actually a resistant zone, and so we need to attack the arm. Nice, perfectly timed ZSD there to immune the roar. We're gonna jump off of that and grab this again. He was so close here. Oh, you're just gonna para it. Nice, okay, that works too. So instead of extending the clacker, he's just gonna para it right here. Get that second ZSD in, and now we're going for a pre-trank and then a trap. He's only gonna be a couple of hits away from capture. Nice. Literally one. Perfect. Beautiful, beautiful. You can
amazing.
Slinger Burst those... Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again?
No, that was just amazing.
Yeah, no, that was great. You can Slinger Burst those Paraknives, but it's a little risky on Baroth and in our positioning there. When we're trying to hit the hands, it's very easy to miss the hands and clip into the head instead, which our weapon would bounce off of it. We just don't want to worry about that, so he's very smart to just shoot them from the Slinger. We only need 2 to get the para off, and I mean, it's a very safe strategy. Well done. All right, up next is the stinkiest fish himself, Gyaratotus. There's a couple reasons that we don't like him. Like I mentioned earlier, he isn't capture ready after his second pod, but instead, well after his third pod. And the area that we fight him in is a literal swamp. And swamps kind of suck because we can't place traps when we're in water. We can place them on the edge of water sometimes, and there's some weird geometry sometimes that's in the water that allows us to place it, or at least attempt to place it, and then you don't place it. It can be really, really rough. But Green's got a really good script to keep him on the edge of the shore here, where there is dry ground, where we can put down traps and tranks to make sure that this monster gets captured ASAP. But it's a really neat opener where we're going to flash the monster first. It's going to stop him from attacking and push him back a little bit, which is going to give us an opening to do a wall bang. There's only one attack that this monster can do that interrupts this opening, and we're hoping that that doesn't happen. So, pray.
Perfect.
Nice.
That
He didn't
flash,
do
that flash does actually serve two purposes. First is canceling out the AI, like Bagel said, and second, when it gets up from this wallbang, it'll also recover from the flash, so it'll do a little head flail, which gives us just enough extra time to add in some damage we need.
Good jump to this finisher
now-
right here. Oh yeah.
You're
that's right.
actually
He goes
intentionally
to-
going to
right.
hit the tail to get this Clagger. And now we're going to go for a head break.
And you see that Green waited a little bit there to start the ZSD. Oh wow, it was like literally the one AI to do that stops that.
Oh.
That's unfortunate. And he did the really cool transition Diagro where he just goes all the way back into this area here. And the really annoying thing now is that he won't chase us, so we now have to fight him on this little atoll. There's your head break. Grabbing this Clagger to extend it another 6 seconds just gives us enough time to put damage into the head, and also puts us next to the monster. Walking in water takes a really long time. How did that miss?
I don't know. Wow, he is just being the worst.
He's also at the very edge of this swamp area, which means we can't put down a trap over here. There is one spot you can over here. I don't think he's anywhere near it, though. He is getting close to capture ready, though. Yeah, so we're going to have to start baiting him over here. The only problem is that his AI is really hard to bait a Runny's animation out of, because he likes to de-aggro to cover himself in mud, which he might be doing. Yeah, he's going to do right now. Wow, I cannot believe that hit. All right. Very unfortunate AI there, going into a single attack that breaks the entire script, but still a really good recovery. All we have to do is just get one might seed here before this quest, this end timer ends. Oh. Beauty. Yeah, you can get it from literally the other side of the universe. You have so much time there to grab that. Feels good, though. But we're now done with the stinkiest fish, and we're on to much better fights. Tobi Kadachi.
The boy.
The boy.
All
right.
in this transition.
Yes.
Do you want to do it now, or do you just want to wait till we get to Zora? Because we will have a lot of downtime in Zora to read a lot of donations. There's like 2 minutes of downtime.
Sure, we'll wait then.
Okay, perfect. Because the next fight is Tobi Kadachi, and this fight is very, very cool. We actually have a consistent opener for it now, which is awesome, which just gets us into the fight as fast as possible. And this one's kind of RNG. About one ZSD away from the end of it. It's kind of dependent on a single attack that it'll do. And we just need to line ourselves up in a specific way. We just need to we need to react to that attack pretty much to then get our last ZSD in before we can capture it. But if Green games out of his literal gourd, he should be able to completely ignore that and just get a Clagger lock all the way through this.
Yep.
I can't get it.
I can
I just
sometimes
ad-lib this
get
fight.
it.
Yeah. It's not the most consistent, but this fight is the most consistent this fight has been ever. So here's hoping.
We do have effectively a full script for it. The only issue is it requires extremely precise timing, and if you miss it, you just lose your Clagger at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. We're going to start with setting up a shock trap up here in this nest and 2 barrel bombs. That's just going to give us kind of a opening bit of control against the monster, which gives us time to build up a ZSD. A lot of the scripts for Switch Axe are what's something that we can do to the monster to build up a ZSD. 360 damage there. Green's then going to attack the tail instead of the head. Has a better hit zone value than the head, so we can do a little bit more damage. Wow, got all of that off. Very nice. Waiting to start our ZSD for a specific animation. Clagger a little too soon, unfortunately, but it did enrage. Going to ZSD the head here for another flinch. This is actually good for you.
Yeah.
So we can interact with the monster while it's up on the wall like that, but generally we don't want to. Oh, wow, you just got doubled. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Everything's fine. The luckiest Clagger in the world.
Yep.
Head break, full discharge. He's going to now pick up that powerful slinger ammo. So one of the nice things about Tobi-Kadachi and most of the monsters that we fight in this game is that they drop Pierce Pods. And Pierce Pods, when combined with a Slinger Burst, do an absurd amount of damage. We don't even need it. But by the time that the monster drops its first pod, 3 Slinger Bursts using Pierce Pod will be enough to capture it. Grabbing, at a minimum, these 2 spider webs here, and then a little extra sleep herb and this flash bug. Just all very nice extra things to have as we go into our next fight. Remember that Anjanath that we saw at the very beginning? He's back.
It's time.
So this is actually a full script, and it's a very cool one at that. This perfectly shows off why we use Switch Axe in the way we do. I really hope you do get this clean. You should. You're really good at this fight.
Yeah.
But
Blast RNG is the only thing I'm worried about.
Yeah. Get blesses in chat, because we want not too much damage. That's a really funny thing about this game, is that if we deal too much damage, we actually overwrite specific thresholds to get claggers and knockdowns, and then it interrupts our script. But they're usually about 80% accurate, right? 80% of the time you can get this. The other 20% you get a blast proc, and it kind of messes up your script. But blesses in chat. We are now going to go fight Anjanath. For a lot of people, this fight was a wall. For us, this fight is a full script, and it's a lot of fun to do. I'm not going to explain anything. I'm just going to let you watch this. It's a very cool fight to watch, and then we'll talk about it a little bit afterwards. We'll have a bunch of downtime to talk about it between this quest and the next. Good luck, Green.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's like the only AI that we don't want him to do.
Good.
Yep, that'll work. So now we're in our Clagger lock, and you will see he's just going to do the same thing over and over again.
What?
Should be able to get it back.
Huh.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't know why that wasn't a Clagger.
Might possibly have clipped into a hand or into the back. So you're going to have to ad-lib here a little bit.
Yep.
Good old marathon luck. Hot mouth topple. Yeah, that flail will just put you right into that arm instead. Probably go for a flash now. Yep. Oh wow, how are you far enough away from that?
I don't know, but I will take it.
So that flash is going to stop him from transitioning. He was just trying to go to the next area, but Green's really close on damage. Just just going to use this bomb pod to get a Clagger here, which should give us an opening to pre-trank and then trap. Huh, that is unlucky. Alright, good. So kind of unfortunate with the script there. I think that first blast proc that you got off of the first Clagger may have gone not into the head.
Yeah.
But no problem. Still plenty of opportunities to show off Switch Axe. This weapon is a powerhouse. But the next quest is one for the history books, Zora Madros 1. Remember that mountain that we encountered? Well, we found him. We finally tracked him down through all of his cronies here, and he has to give us his insurance information now, because if he doesn't, we're gonna report him to the Hunters Guild or something. I feel like we've already done that though. But the Zora Madros 1 also marks the first partial any percent category. We do split this up because it's been traditionally a really long run. Now we've gotten it down to an insane pace, one that I never thought it would be at when I first started running the game, to be honest. But this is Zora Madros 1. It is more or less an auto-scroller, but we have ways to make it a little bit faster. And it kind of appears in two quests. We call these siege, or two phases. We call these siege quests. The first phase is going to be us firing cannon and ballista at the monster to interrupt specific animations, and the second phase is going to be us standing on its back. That's it. That's all we're going to do. But the Fast Zora is a really neat strategy to help save a lot of time on this quest. If you ever played this game casually and you're listening to the NPCs, which all are like, oh, shoot the cannons and ballista, we gotta wear it down, and oh, break the magma cores. Yeah, they're all liars. Never listen to the NPCs. They're trying to make you go slow. They're trying to sabotage your speedrun. So the first thing that we're going to have to do here for Fast Zora is shoot a ballista binder. It's think of it as like a binder. What else is a binder? I don't know, like a tether. It's going to lock down the monster for a moment, tie it up, and make him stop moving. The binder has to be shot in phase 1 no matter what. So we fire it immediately here. It's actually the shortest animation for this ballista binder. We kind of figured out that the further the monster was away from the barrier, the shorter that the ballista binder actually lasted. In addition, the player character shooting the binder versus the NPC shooting the binder has a difference in time as well. The NPC binder lasts twice as long for some reason, and they'll shoot the binder no matter what if Zora makes it to the barrier. We want to not let that happen. We're going to clear out these wing drakes right here because they can be really annoying. So Green's going to take some pop shots at them, get rid of them. And then we are going to start setting up for the first cannon. Also part of phase 1, Zora has to do 2 attacks before he starts moving to break the barrier. We're going to use the cannons to interrupt those animations for the attacks. If we do it at the right time, the attack, the flag for the quest that says, yes, we performed this attack will be met. And then it'll transition to the next one. We just have to wait for him to get there now. And we're waiting for a little animation that I like to call Big Step. But we're just going to wait here. I'm really surprised Green isn't like using Prance or Dance or anything like that. It's just standing there, waiting normally. There we go.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But we did have to push the cannon once to the left. That's going to line it up to aim at the chest and get us a chest break to get us our first flinch to stop this first attack animation. All right, big steps coming up. So Green's going to get ready on the cannon. You can actually hold B here to not fire it yet. Once we release B is when it's going to fire it. You're just going to wait for this step to happen right there. We want to kind of line up that first hit with the step landing on the ground itself. But as long as we get the flinch after that step happens, we are pretty much golden. So now we have interrupted that first attack animation. He's going to come over to the second cannon. Once again, push to the left once and just wait for him to show up. This one has a much better tell. It's kind of weird, but he's going to walk up to the cannon here, and when he takes his last step, his head's actually going to stop moving, and his beard's going to wiggle a little bit more. It's very jarring to see, so you'll notice it immediately. Green also put on a ghillie mantle here because not 1, not 2, but 5 more wing drake have spawned, and they're coming. So we put this Ghillie Mantle on to hide in plain sight. It's just another abuse of the stealth mechanic. Right there, head stops moving, beard keeps wiggling. That tells us to fire the cannon. That's the change between those animations. Now we just got to get a chest break here. Nice. Then Green's going to move over to this next ballista just to kind of confuse the Wing Drake. And we're looking for, like, the smallest step forward. We want this animation to end, and the way it ends is that he does this little rock forward right there. We want to get a flinch immediately after that. Green, how much time did that flinch save?
That flinch saved 20 seconds. For a very long time, we just started free firing to get that last flint. That's not the right place. We started pre-firing to get that flinch, and there is a few frame window where you can actually flinch him before that rock forward starts, and that rock forward triggers another animation that loses another 20 seconds. So if you shoot it too early, you're not canceling that animation.
So those little audio pop-ups on the right there tell us that we got fast Zora. The faster those pop up, the better we did, and that's about as fast as it can go. Green's now going to be making some mega nutrients, a catalyst, some other little items, and doing some inventory management here, just to make sure that he has all of the materials that he's going to need for the remainder of this run. And we don't really have to worry about doing this quickly, because all of Phase 2 of the Zora Madros fight is just it walking. We've been trying to find a way to finish it faster, you know, Zora 1 skip. It would be the absolute dream if we could do that. But every single step that Zora takes in Phase 2 is a flagged, scripted event. So unfortunately, we just have to wait. Green's also selling some equipment here. He wants to have 30,000 Zenny during this quest. So he's going to be selling some of the ammo coatings that we don't need, and then possibly some additional monster rewards that we won't need. But we are going to be checking this next page for 2 items. We're going to be making sure that we got at least 1 Anjanath pelt, and we need at least 2 large monster bones. That's going to unlock us a camp later. He's also going to check to see if we got at least 2 Anjanath scales, and he did, and then how many iron ore that he has. Looks like you're good.
Yep.
So he's going to go through and sell until we have 30,000, and like I said, this is, you know, we have to wait here anyways when we get onto the back of Zora. We have to hit a couple of the mining nodes to get Dragonite and Macrolite ore that we need. And then besides that, we don't really need to do anything else. So while Green's doing that, this is now a beautiful, perfect time, because we have 2.5 minutes of just literally waiting here. It's probably not that long, but it feels like an eternity of just waiting here.
Like
so
4.
if you have any... Is it really 4 minutes? No shot.
From the hitching post unlocking to him reaching the second barrier is 6.5 minutes.
Wild. Absolutely wild. But if we have donations and announcements, now is a perfect time to do that.
I'd be happy to steal away some of your time. First of all, I want to mention something that happened a while ago. I was a big fan of that strat where you were running, looking downwards just to skip the monster appearing or whatever. That reminded me of old retro games where like, we can't spawn this thing or else there's going to be too much lag, but like in a more modern experience. Also, if you guys get a chance to go check out chat later, it is jamming. There's a lot of people supporting you guys right now. And speaking of support, we got Yami Carol 123 who donated $20. That says, "So proud of you, GreenSpeed. Keep making us proud."
Thank you,
Yami. Yeah. I hope I said their name right.
Mm-hmm.
And we are over the 1300 mark, but these guys are having a pretty good run here. I'm pretty sure we can make it to 1500. Can we?
Oh, easily.
Easy.
You got this.
We got
And for
plenty of
$10
time to get there, too.
Yeah. And also, just to mention that the chat is fun, but also cool. I don't know when it's going to happen, but we are going to be dropping the massive Earth on Dodojama.
Oh no. Okay. It
You're
is
gonna
what
lose
it
your
is.
literal 60 seconds.
Seconds.
You're gonna lose 60 frames. Help.
Yeah, hold up.
Could you imagine if that was 60 seconds? That'd be really funny.
Yeah.
Cool, we're dropping the rock. Let's go.
Boy,
I don't know
boy.
what it is, but has cruel fate lying ahead.
He's a precious lizard boy.
He is, but he also is overrated, and we need to make sure that he knows his place by dropping a rock on him.
Yeah.
We're just trying to feed him by delivering the food directly to his face.
I also wish to add just one last thing. I've played a lot of like MMORPGs and action RPGs, and like I find like the movement from one place to the other is usually like a straight flat land, or you teleport somewhere. Like I'm loving that you guys are like jumping on mountains and like diving into stuff, and like it doesn't seem boring.
Oh yeah.
And like
some of the movement in this game too is some of the movement in this game too gets a lot of fun. Green's favorite section is actually just a movement playground, as much of a movement playground in Monster Hunter can be. But how we choose to move around the maps gets really, really creative, you know, the further we go into the run. And someone who has at least played this game, every time we run it, like every time we show it, someone learns something about moving around maps every single time. All right. So Green, we are almost to that barrier.
Yep.
He's got a little bit of time here to set up his item bar and just change some other settings, just making sure that he is set up for this next thing. But he's just going to go through and just make sure that we have the Radal menu crafting set up for a few items that we'll need at the very end of the run. Oh gosh. And of course doing the hype step up dance.
Yo.
Or hype up step dance. Hype step hype dance up.
Hype up dance step.
No shot. Oh, yep, hype up dance step. Let's go. Wait, can you do hype up clap really quick? This one's really funny to look at. That's me at every party I've ever gone to.
Mood.
Come on, Chad, put your party emotes in there too. Join the fun.
Yeah, because we don't got much time. Just it's so silly. Goofiest dance. The next thing that we have to do to end this quest, there's one more thing that we have to do. We have to repel a monster that's going to appear on the back of Zora Madras. His name is Nergigante, and we're going to see him a bunch throughout this run. So this next strategy is Nergigante Quick Kill. He has a health gate that we have to meet to repel him and to end this quest. And so we're going to do that in a very fun, creative way using explosions. Everyone's favorite thing. But it's a neat little strategy that just uses warping to get yourself in the right position. It's fun. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so Zora Madras is going to stand up here. That tells us that we met his health gate because he's interacting with the barrier at the end now. And we just want to make sure that we can get up on top of his head here and fall off of it. But wait, you spent all that time getting up to the top of it. Yes, we did. Now we want to fall off of it. So we're going to put the Ghillie Mantle on to enter stealth. And that's going to stop Zora Madras from immediately interacting with us when he spawns in. We kind of want to stand in this corner right here, so when Zora Madras gets hit with a Ballista Binder again, for the second time, we fall off and land on his neck. Whee! Thunk. That's going to warp us to his back to a safe zone, and that's going to set us up to run directly at this rock. You can do it without doing that, but this looks cooler. And we're going to put these two bombs right next to that rock that looks like a little pile of poop. Because Nergigante is going to land right on top of it. Here he is, Nurgle himself.
He's here.
So he starts off with a roar that Green's going to dodge, easiest clap of his entire life, and he's going to put down 2 barrel bombs and then immediately draw his weapon. That's going to detonate the bombs, get a little bit of damage off, and then get the entire health gate that we need. That's it. Don't even have to attack him there. That's all you have to do. Taking everything here because it's got some trap tools and large bones in it. It's just habit to take it there. Though there's nothing that we actually needed in that. All right, so that's the first and partial 90% category, one for the history books, aka Zora 1. We are now moving into the Colossal Tasks section. So this is the second half, the low-ranked portion of the game, and this is probably one of the hardest parts of the game to do consistently. It's not necessarily difficult, it's just the game hates us. So Green's going to do everything in his power to do the next couple of fights consistently, but it can be hard sometimes. Before we do that, though, we got to do a little bit of exploring, and we are going to go ahead and check out this gigantic chasm, the Great Ravine, that Zora Madras left behind, because we didn't capture him. You know, we got up there, we held up the jury summons in front of his face. He says, "Oh man, not me," and he bounced. So we are chasing him down yet again. Oh, hey, you got, how'd you get this at night? What have you done?
I opened up, so day-night cycle in the game is actually based on how long the game has been open, not just your file. And I did preload every map on my main save to get some faster load times before this run started. So we get to see the Great Ravine at night, which is a very nice view.
Yeah, it's very pretty here at night. Despite this being about 36 polygons across.
Yeah.
I love you. We're gonna stick to the right side of this wall here. We can actually get closer to the quest trigger if we hang closer to this right wall, because it does force us into a walk animation, but we run directly into it. It's kind of nice. You can just stick to the right there. And then we discover a new area called the Coral Highlands, which we are going to be exploring in next with a expedition. During that expedition, we have to do two things. We have to spot a Zitzi Yaku. We don't have to fight it. We just got to look at it. Got to go bird watching. And then unlock a camp, or at least unlock the delivery for a camp. We are not going to use that camp. It actually requires Zitzi materials to unlock it, and we just aren't going to hunt that thing. So instead, we're just going to unlock the delivery as part of the quest trigger, and then immediately leave. During that time, too, we're going to be gathering thunderbugs and honey, just pretty much anything that's going to be useful to us as we run from point A to point B. And it's really nice because every time that we walk past this area, we have the chance to pick up 3 thunderbugs. And that's a lot because, you know, you come to this quest once, you're going to use 1 thunderbug on the quest, right? So you're going to at least net 2 thunderbugs every single time you come here, which is very cool. The routing in this game, when I was talking about it before, is very linear because it's also very convenient. By the time we get to specific parts and we're like, man, we could really use X material, the game gives it to us. It is there and it is present for us. And whether or not they designed it that way, I have no idea. But it is incredibly convenient as far as routing is concerned. Because there's never a time in the 0% category, the category that allows add-ons, there's never a time that we have to go out of our way to do additional farming. We just sprint point A to point B. It's awesome. Routing this corner here, a little nifty trick. Don't dodge down that to get the faster roll because then you don't run out of stamina. We can roll here now and crawl under here. Does he do the greedy return?
No.
Man, he hates the greedy return. I love it. You can actually open up the menu as you're standing up there and return from the expedition the moment you stand up. Man, I can't believe you don't like that. But if you don't stand up completely, you actually don't discover the camp, and then you have to do all of that again. So it definitely makes sense why he doesn't like doing it.
Mm-hmm. I tried it once, failed it, and lost a minute because of it.
Yep. But now that that's done, they've given us the task of going and hunting a big old rat balloon thing called Paolumu. This fight's something else. But before we do that, we have to do some shopping. We're going to be switching to the SNS here, and we're going to be kind of setting ourselves up to have more materials that we're going to need later in the run. So just doing a quick shop there, and then Green is going to do our equipment management. So right here, making the SNS, making our bone chest, which gives us a level of attack boost, and making our high metal greaves, which gives us a level of heavy artillery. That level of heavy artillery isn't going to come into play until we get to the Zora 2 fight, and then upgrading our weapons, since we got the Anjanat scale, and we got 2 of them, gives us the convenient way to upgrade. But that Anjanat scale is the first upgrade for the defender weapon. So now we are using Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield's a very cool weapon. It has one of the strongest melee combos in the game, one of the strongest just DPS on a melee weapon, in the form of an attack called Perfect Rush. And Perfect Rush makes this speed run just absolutely broken. It's really nice what we can actually do with this. We can time Perfect Rush similarly to how we time ZSD to chain together certain control, whether it be a knockdown or a clagger. And this weapon also has the most convenient, in my opinion, the most convenient Slinger Burst, because all you have to do is just press a button to do it. Instead of having to do a weapon combo and follow it up, we can just, aim our Slinger and then do a Slinger Burst. It is very nice. On the way here, too, we're picking up some flash bombs and also making sure that we have a Slinger ammo that we can do a wall bang with. So Green has this Bright Moss to do that. No blue. Oh, no, yeah, there is a blue boy.
Yeah.
Detonating that sleep toad there so we don't accidentally hit it during the fight. And Green's going to angle himself on this side of the monster's head to do a triple hit. That's going to give us a half a tenderize, and then he's going to wall bang. He's then going to follow up at some point, actually don't know when, with a claw uppercut to get the full tenderize. Oh, it's right now. Sick. Yep. That gives us the other half of the tenderize, and so now that part is actually taking additional damage. Tenderizing, this is the first time we've used it. It was introduced in... Oh, nice. You got that clagger. It was introduced in Iceborne, and what tenderizing does is it actually changes the hit zone value of that part, usually increasing it. I don't think there's ever a tenderize that actually decreases it, but that'd be really funny. Accidental rush right there is a little unfortunate, but we'll see if we're close to another clagger. This is the problem with Paolumu, is that this run attack here, it's very obnoxious because he likes to do it independent of our, positioning. He's inside the wall. Green's going to use this pitfall trap here just to stop its movement, kind of get this script back a little bit, get some more damage off on the head because he is close to capture. Clagger there, that we're going to extend it, drop off. And the nice thing about PR is that we can extend a clagger and then rush this PR to make sure that we get the finisher when it ends. Oh! That's actually really funny. The two red stones on the ground, those two powerful slingers, does tell us that the monster is capture ready, so the moment Green saw those, he knew to stop. And then we're just gonna grab a couple of sleep herbs here and continue on our merry way. Not a bad Paolumu. That was real good. Because that can go a lot worse.
Mistimed 1 PR, and that probably lost 10, 15?
Yeah, probably. It did do double runnies immediately after that, so that'll probably do it.
Yeah.
We always take Paolumu just out of habit because he has the large bones. But you don't really need anything else. He can also have flash pods in his rewards, so it is still always nice just to take them on the off chance that you do get some extra flash pods, because flashes can be helpful to recover some fights towards the end of the game. But we are off to our next fight, Radabon, oily, bony boy. This fight's actually really cool because we just clagger lock him the entire time, and with SNS, it's a really neat script. You can also do this with Switch Axe, but using SNS on Paolumu seems to be a little bit more consistent than Switch Axe. But really cool opener here. We're going to use a flash pod to stop him from moving and position him in a very specific way. Green's then going to do a claw uppercut from Sheath, which is a neat little strategy with SNS. That gives us a half tenderize. He's then going to come back onto here. He's already hit it once, but we're just going to tenderize the head. That's going to drop a Thorn Pod. Thorn Pods are a really unique piece of ammo. Juratotus drops them, but we actually didn't get the opportunity to take advantage of them. But Thorn Pods are unique in that when you hit them, it deals KO damage to the part that they are attached to. So it actually gives an option to slashing weapons to also deal KO. It's a very neat option when we get to take advantage of it. And this is one of those fights that we get to do that on. So right here, using that Thorn Pod to get the KO. Just double Slinger Burst. Using the Falling Shield Bash there to time out this PR. He can now do a timed perfect rush all the way through this. There's first pod. He is now going to grab that Pierce. Very nice thing, too, about Radobon is that he is... Ooh. A little too close there. Hopefully... Oh, capture ready. Nice. Good job. That was a little sketchy. Something to note about the traps. They do not last indefinitely. They are on a timer. And so we have to make sure that we get the Trank status onto the monster while it's still in the trap and under that damage threshold. So if you're just above the threshold and you trap and then try to Trank, you do not have much time to actually get down to that 30% threshold. Another statement about the convenience of this game and its routing. The thing that we absolutely needed right now was Perish Rooms, and the thing that the game giveth is Perish Rooms. I love this game's routing so much. Last thing we have to do in this expedition is spot this great Gyros, and then we are out of here. All right. Up next is the Frostburn chicken itself. Yeah, this monster is the epitome of you left a full, like, chicken in your freezer forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how annoying this creature is, and just how inconvenient it is. Because then you open your freezer, you're like, oh man, you're still here. Every run, we're like, oh man, this thing's still here. This is Legiana. Legiana can be a very difficult fight. You have it pretty much down, though, with SNS, don't you?
More or less.
More or less. But this quest is kind of unique. Most of the assigned missions that we do usually start with, the fight starts with a cutscene, so that gives us some consistent AI to work with. This one's a little different, though. There is no cutscene in the middle of this quest, and instead, the monster's already moving on a cycle. That cycle, though, fortunately, is predetermined. It is the same every single time, so we know as long as we move as fast as we can doing these objectives here, eating and picking up these flash bombs that the quest gives us. It saves the ones that we keep in our inventory. We know that we can get to this Legiana by the time it is landing on the ground, which gives us the ability to do our opener. It's a really neat opener. I love this. We use a wall bang and barrel bombs to do this. And we're actually going to end up wallbanging the monster twice, and we have just enough time to gather all this stuff too. I mean, like, it is such tight timing. I love it. DC, get out of the way.
Yeah. The button to use the grappling hook there is the same button to fire the clutch claw. So if you mistime it while that ZT is on top of you, you'll just clutch claw onto it and aggro it, and that makes things difficult.
Mm-hmm. We don't like difficult.
No.
But you should still be good on time here.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be able to look up into the air now and see where Legiana is. Ugh, beautiful timing. Oh my goodness. So we're going to put down 2 large barrel bombs here and then get ready to clutch claw into the head. We're actually taking advantage of the fact that it's stuck in one animation right now to give us an opening to clutch claw. Because you can be attacked off of a clutch claw or roared off or anything like that. And the positioning of this lines up perfectly with that that stone on the ground. Greed's going to build up a KO threshold against the head and then wallbang as it stands up. This is a nice amount of damage, but what it's really doing is setting up the Enrage cycle as well as this first Clagger. Rushing this PR into it. We're then going to be looking to get that KO next. And this fight can be a little RNG now. So you're just going to flash and pray. Let's go. Yeah, I guess you can since you have KO. But like I've mentioned before, flashing a monster does make their AI a little more erratic. And since this thing is enraged, it's moving a little bit faster than normal too. So we have to make sure that we can capitalize on the hits afterwards. There's the KO. And we're just stuck in the wall a little bit. You guys didn't want to see this fight, right? I mean, it's just Legiana. A little early on that, that's okay. It's a little hard to time that. And he landed up on the ledge. Let's go. wow, double. That was interesting. I didn't realize he used a pitfall here. Seconds too early. That's okay. Legiana drops the powerful slinger. So Green's gonna use his last easy flash pod there. Just to stop him from jumping up a bunch. When he's flashed, he's a little less likely to fly. And if he does, he lands immediately. He doesn't stay up in the air while flashed. And then pre-tranking and trapping using that last slinger burst to get the trap. Very nice. Very, very good. Opening the map at the bottom here. Saves us half a second later. Good job. This is why he has world record. All these half-second time saves everywhere. They add up.
Indeed.
But cool. All right, next fight is probably one of the most inconsistent ones. This fight's really hard to do well. But next is Odogaron, or Odogaron, or Odogaron if you're the handler and want to be incorrect.
I like how you still haven't said how I say it.
Wait, how do you say it?
Odogaron.
That's just wrong. Those are just all the wrong vowels.
How do you say it, chat?
Hey, give us the phonetic in chat of how you say it. But this is Odogaron. So this is where pads start to take a little divergence. Green's going to do something a little more risky, but ends up saving a lot more time. We would, in a safer strategy, you could be grabbing a Devil's Blight here to make Mega Barrel Bombs for the Zora 2 fight for the repel on Nergigante. It's very important on the Zora 2 fight to get a Horn Break. Green's actually going to skip that entirely and go absolutely Hamuel Samuel on the Nergigante on Zora 2 to get the Horn Break without that. You can do it, it's just harder. But he's really good at this game. Like I said, this is why he has world record. And so we're just going to skip that. Instead, we're grabbing some Might Seeds through here and some other items. But now we're heading straight over to Odogaron. And this opener is going to start with a Wallbang. And pretty much what we're going to be trying to do is chain together Claggers and specific knockdowns to try and lock this monster down for as long as possible. The only problem is that Odogaron has something that we call a faux topple or a fake topple. It's more of a counterattack, but it still has the same topple or the same flinch threshold as other parts of him as well. So it gets a little squirrely, but we do know that that threshold is on its arm now. Here's our Clagger. Just going to Clutch Claw right back on and tenderize the head here. That's going to give him a tenderize on the head and also this Pierce Pod. We're going to be using this Pierce Pod to be interrupting specific attacks. This is a backflip, which we can just take advantage of. Get this nice head flail and dodge out of the way of that attack. We don't want to get hit by any of its claw attacks. Here is the faux topple, which is a counter attack. Back hopping that last hit of it beautifully so we can line up this. And there's a Clagger. Nice. This one we aren't going to tenderize on. Instead, we're going to immediately drop off and do a rushed PR. The idea here is that we are close to killing it anyways, and this PR finisher should give us a leg break is great, but we should also be really close to the next pod, which is also a Pierce Pod, which we can then use to finish the quest. Looks like Green might be lucky here. There we go. Oop. Nah, you got a Divine Blessing proc. You are perfectly fine. Gonna play it safe here and grab this Pierce Pod and then go for a trap against Odogaron. Yep, there's the last pod. So we can go ahead and trap now. Placing it about 1 billion miles away from it, and it still works somehow. Nice. Clean Odogaron. That is not easy to do fast. And so the end timer here, we just need to make sure that we grab this spider web for another pitfall later and another Might Seed. The Might Seed routing in this is actually super tight for the strategy that Green is doing. He ends up using a lot more of his Might items later in the run, so we start to craft them into other items that end up stacking with each other to get more attack boosts. Because right now we're just using a might seed, you know, in the quest. It gives us a small raw bonus for 3 minutes, but later we're going to be combining these different, you know, power items together to give us temporary buffs in the fight that give us the same benefit as eating a meal, but it ends up being faster because we don't take the time loss to go and eat that meal instead. It'll all make sense when we get there because you'll see how far away the canteen is from where we spawn in. It's just a lot faster to do it this way, but it's a little more risky too because you end up only having 2 might seeds on the last quest.
If you mess up your movement, you only have 2 as opposed to the 3 you ideally want.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, show of hands, how many of you knew you could do this? So we have to get to the top of the tree here, and the fastest way to get there is riding this wing drake. Also at the top of the tree, we're going to unlock Camp 17 in the Ancient Forest. That's what we needed the Anjanath Pelt and 2 large bones for. And Camp 17 is an absolute blessing. It makes some things a lot faster, more particularly the Rathalos fight that we're going to be doing here in a little bit. And it helps with tracks if we get the patterns that do come up into the tree, but more on that later. Instead, right now, we're going to be grabbing this ivy to make more nets and a mandragora to make a max potion a little bit later for some of the last fights. We have in routing enough materials for 3 max potions, and then sometimes you can get lucky and get an extra mandragora. Did you roll and then slinger burst to continue moving through that?
Claw uppercut, but yes.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. That's so cool. Why have you been hiding this tech on me?
Because until, like, last week we were using Switch Axe in this segment. Can't do that with Switch Axe.
True. That's absolutely true. That's so cool. That's super neat. Yeah, in that animation, our forward movement stops, but if you time it right, you can do an animation during it and continue to move forward. That's brilliant. That's super cool. I love that. Oh, where else can we use that?
Moss uses it on the Kulu expedition, but we don't use Sword and Shield there.
Yeah, no, we don't.
What am I doing?
All right. Diablos is up next. If you know anything about this game, Diablos is a very difficult monster to fight, but Green's going to make it look easy with Sword and Shield. We're also going to be doing a little bit of a restock here, and then coming and talking to the research center to complete the delivery for Camp 17. That was that little diverging path that we took at the very end there when I was fangirling over that cool tech. But this is the Ancient Forest 2 delivery, which sets up Camp 17, which we'll be using on the next quest. So Diablos.
Odo answers.
Doggo is the only correct answer.
Doggo was one of the answers. You struggle says I just call it Odie. And Theme Monster 93 says Clifford on meth.
Clifford on meth is about right. So this quest gives us a unique slinger item called Screamer Pods. We're going to be using those Screamer Pods when Diablos digs through the ground. It gives us a kind of a trapped animation and gives us a moment to continue attacking the monster, as well as stopping a very strong attack that it does coming out of the ground that we can't immune with a iframe because the animation is very long. Also, the beginning of this quest is like 80% chance that it starts off the way we want it to, which is him immediately dashing. Perfect. And then just positioning ourselves in the right way. He gets stuck in that wall. And then we can tenderize this leg. With the right positioning too, we can bait out this tail attack, and then we can start attacking this leg. And what we want to do is get a trip here. You should be about a hit or 2 away from that trip. Ooh, double hip check there. Wow. And then into the ground. That's okay, though. That's okay. Ideally, he doesn't dig at all because it just takes a lot of time. We have to stop attacking him completely. But during this animation, we can fit in 2 PRs. And right into a clagger. So ideally, we'll get trips on this. But if the PR finisher clips into a different part of its body instead of into the leg, then we get a clagger instead. But that's our trip. We want nothing but those. blast proc here. Oh, that works. All right, cool. So we just want to try to time out our PR finisher to land as this animation ends. We want to make sure that we hit the tenderized leg. Green's going to reposition to the other side, grab that tenderized leg, and drop right next to it, just so he gets the monster angled in the way that he wants it to, and then rush this PR. Should be able to get the trip again. Nice, and a cheeky little blast proc for an extra 100 damage. Unfortunate AI right there. It can just do that sometimes, and that will stop you from actually getting the trip. So next is going to be a Clagger, most likely. That is unfortunate. And also really greedy.
Oh.
Oh, I guess you're using a pitfall. Yeah, because you don't have the trap tool here.
Yep.
That's a little unfortunate. Diablos is one of the harder monsters to trap. We usually flash it before we trap it just to stop that exact thing. While it's in flashed AI, it can't dig. But I would have probably made the exact same decision making there. I thought you had plenty of time to get that trap down before it did anything else. Unfortunately, we were about maybe a quarter of a second too slow with it. Mm-hmm. But that's okay. We have plenty of Thunderbugs. We were just short the shock trap there. But Green's going to do a restock here. And we'll have what we need for the next quest, Rathalos. And Rathalos is a really cool one. This is more or less a full script. And it also is a really cool kind of showcase of environmental traps. We're going to be using the waterfall environmental trap on Rathalos, which is a little difficult to trigger. We have to use bombs for it. And then immediately after that, we're going to be using flashes, these flashes here, to control its AI and stop it from transitioning out of the area that it drops into. The map is kind of designated into two different types of areas. A actual zone that the monster can be in and fight, and then a hallway, which we also call a transition zone. If a monster's in a hallway, it's going to try to leave that hallway. Just AI dictates. We are going to be fighting this thing in a hallway, but we're going to be using flashes to keep it engaged and aggroed against us. 2 small barrel bombs to break the waterfall there. 1 more to detonate those bombs that Green put down. Jumping off this cliff before the waterfall can catch us. Eating a Might Seed while we're falling, and then setting up here to do 5 PRs on the head. We aren't doing finishers with this because we do not need them. Finishers take a really long time. Instead, we're just going to be rolling to cancel the PR and then immediately going into the next back hop. And we want to time the last PR here to land on the head as it stands up right before it roars. That's going to give us a guaranteed Clagger. Then we're going to Slinger Burst, not picking up that Clagger, because we're going to aim... Oh, beautiful AI. We're going to aim our PR in a way that we can land that all on the head. Next, we're going to go for... are you going to go for the trip or the KO?
Trip first.
It's the trip since it's... Yeah, so trip first. We're going to attack the leg a little bit. Toby Kadachi is here. Everyone say hi to Toby. And there is our trip.
That's unfortunate.
That's okay. Just get those couple hits in there. It's perfect. Now, when the monster stands up here, Green's going to have to Slinger Burst to flash it again to stop it from transitioning. We got it. That's good, because that is our encounter roar. And then we're going to have a Diagro roar.
No, that was the Diagro roar.
Oh, that was the No, because you just got music.
Oh, wait. You're right.
That was the encounter roar. Very careful here. We do not want to accidentally trap that Toby, but that was great. Mm-hmm. Good job. So we're going to come up here and grab the last Parashroom that we need for the entire run. Boop, done. We now have enough Tranks to finish out the run, but we have exactly enough. Green's going to grab this extra one just for a little bit of safety. I'm sure you'll find Sleeper eventually.
Yeah.
That Toby Kadachi is kind of RNG if he comes down or not. It's really it is just kind of up in the air. He sometimes is there, sometimes he isn't. This quest he just kind of spawns randomly on the map in one of 3 spots, and sometimes it takes him across this area. And then he gets involved, and then he stands in your trap. Then you'd be really sad and upset and angry. But fortunately for us this time, we did not have to deal with being sad, upset, and angry, and we can just go straight into Zora Magdaros 2. So a lot like the first Zora Magdaros fight. Oh, I'm sorry.
The better one.
Yeah, this fight's a lot better. A lot like the first Zora Madros fight, this is also 2 phases, but the phases are switched around. Our first phase is us climbing around in its back, and the second phase is us using the cannons and ballista on a big barrier to repel him. Though, on the first quest, the NPCs are all yelling, break the magma cores, and we don't do that because we already met its health gate. In this one, his health gate is 10 times the size, 20 times the size. It's huge. It's gigantic. And so we're going to have to actually attack the magma cores this time, as well as dropping stalactites and stalagmites on the monster to get flinches and staggers to cancel certain animations. So this entire fight is scripted out in a very, very cool way. Green doing some quick buying there to restock his inventory, but most notably buying the Power Charm, which is an item that sits in our inventory and increases the amount of damage that we deal. It's a very, very cool item. It just takes up an inventory slot, which we really don't care about anymore. All right, so one of the things about breaking magma cores, we don't want to do that. We're still going to damage them, though. If we break a magma core, Zora Magdaros stops moving entirely. We do not want to do that. We want him to keep moving as fast as possible. So we have scripted out and calculated out the exact amount of damage that we can do with Sword and Shield. 1, to deal as much damage as we can to the magma core before breaking it, and 2, still meet the cycles that we need to around Zora Magdaros to continue this fight. This is such a cool script to make sure that this thing keeps moving forward. Yeah, I don't know. I have nothing else to say other than that. It's just such a cool fight. The magma cores are also objects that attack us. So we shoot a rock here to get it to aggro. Unfortunately, we got the big explosion. There's big explosions and small explosions. The big explosion is just a huge AoE around it and does a lot of damage, but the charge takes a little bit longer. The small explosions have 2 patterns that can happen. And we can position ourselves between the hits, just like this. But Green wants to get 3 PRs here with these charged finishers before moving on up the monster. We're going to climb to the top of his volcano hole and get ready to drop 2 stalactites on the ceiling to interrupt an animation. On the way there, we're also going to attack Rock Friend here. Everyone say hi to Dwayne, aka Rock Friend. And we're going to continue up the mountain.
And I hit the cool thing for once.
Just don't walk forward. Just don't walk forward. Just stand right there. Don't walk forward.
I have not touched
aim it.
the stick.
Aim it. Now aim up. Oh, you're aiming too low.
Oh, you have to
There
aim
you go.
up. Got it.
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
All right, so there's a stalactite that's behind you, and so you can, the hitbox kind of overlaps gigantically, and so without even looking at it, you can actually fire the slinger into it without even just looking at it. It's very cool, and Green hasn't been able to figure that out. And finally we did. There we go. That's my piece of tech I get to teach you. So we want, what, 5 PR finishers on this at a minimum?
Yeah.
It takes like 9 to break this, so we aren't really worried about breaking this one. But after the 3rd magma core explosion, we want to start leaving here to get ready for the next rock drop. He finished a little bit early. That's perfectly fine. We're going to be heading on up. This is not going to explode again. AI's broken.
Very nice
Cool.
score.
Should have stayed there. Kept damaging that. You also
Yeah,
don't
but I
want to
wanna
be
hit the
in this
pre-fire.
hole and not... Yeah, you don't want to be in that hole when it does this next attack, because we want to cancel the next attack, and if you're inside that hole, it one-shots you. No matter what, you just die. It's real cool. But we're waiting for a very specific animation here to drop this stalagmite on the monster. Not quite there yet. Nice. So we need to stagger it after that audio trigger. That's very close. But that is a really good pre-fire. That stops Zora Madaris from doing a very large explosion. It's a charged up attack. It makes all of his lava attacks stronger. It makes more lava spew out the top of him. It makes more lava explosions happen on his body. It makes all of his cores deal more damage and explode more often. We just don't want to deal with any of that. It also takes forever for that animation to finish. We can just use that stalagmite on the side, break it. It drops on Zora Madros, skips that entire thing, and then he keeps on walking. So Green's lining himself up for the next little segment here. Hey, our friend Nergigante is about to come back. And while that's happening, the NPCs are going to shoot another binder to stop Zora Madaris from moving. Nergi is going to see that as an opportunity to come in, swoop down, and be annoying, but we're going to use that as an opportunity to get research points. The game requires us to gather a certain number of tracks, and Nergi has a set track gathering pattern, but it's always short 40 points. We can actually get those 40 points by getting a horn break here, so we only have to do his track gathering pattern once instead of returning to it a second time. Ends up saving like a minute to a minute and a half. It's awesome. And then Green's also doing the riskier strat, which saves like another 30 seconds.
15.
More? Oh, it's only 15? Even still. That's a minute and 15 right here, just with risky fast strats. Getting that explosion on the head is going to deal additional part break, and then we're going to wall bang, dealing even more part break. While uppercut tenderizing the head's also going to drop a thorn pod. And now we're just waiting for this next attack to end. Nice.
Perfect.
There's our KO and a horn break. Now Green still wants to keep damaging the monster even though we got the horn break. His transition to leave this next area and how quickly Zora steps back down from the binder is linked to how much damage we can do to him here. So the more damage that we deal, the better off we are. And what's really great is that he can interrupt any animation that he is in to escape. So even extending claggers, getting KOs, knockdowns, part breaks, whatever, will not harm us in any way. He can actually just interrupt those at any time. Very, very good, Nergigante. Makes it look a lot easier than it actually is.
They don't normally go that smooth.
No, they absolutely do not. Hey, everyone say hi to Rock Friend again. Hi, Rock Friend. We're going to be beating him up. But don't worry, no rock friends were harmed in the making of this speed run because it can't break. Really kind of weird HP lock that happens here. While Zora Madras is standing up, we're actually hitting an unintended section of the hitbox of this breakable part. And for some reason, while Zora Madras is standing, this part can't break. But he still takes all the damage that we deal to it. Just the part doesn't. Awesome little strategy here to just get a little bit more damage in, and by a little bit I mean like 500 damage in on the monster to help end this quest a lot faster. Coming back to that first magma core, which just doesn't want to explode. Nice. We have to do 4 more PRs here, and then we're gonna go to the last magma core. And once again, Green can usually fit 2 PRs in before the core explodes again. And if his positioning is good, he can avoid the next explosion while also still doing a PR. We kind of know where to position ourselves to be able to dodge one or the other. Very good core right there, and heading off to the next one. This is the last core that we're going to be attacking. Remember, not breaking any cores, just attacking them. And this one can be a little finicky. All of its patterns for small explosions are obnoxious. Getting the good one to start off. But what's going to be weird here is that we actually want to get pushed out of bounds. It's pseudo pushed out of bounds. The game then resets our position on the top of the barrier for phase 2. Did he get it? He absolutely did. Nice. So one thing that we haven't talked about with the claw uppercut attack, it has super armor on it, so we can use that to immune the knockback from getting hit by attacks. And instead, we take that damage from the core, but so cool. But we get to stand next to it anyways. Just waiting here now. We don't want to accidentally break this core. Just waiting for Zora Madros to transition here. This turn kind of tells us that he's up to the barrier. Green's also just kind of waiting to time out this PR. All three. Nice. Good job. But we want to be doing this PR as the back of Zora Madros here is closing, because then we kind of get pushed a little out of bounds, which is unintended, and the way that the game fixes that is by putting us up on top of the map. All right. Phase 2, and we are almost done with this quest. This is where the heavy artillery legs that we made come in. So what that's going to do for us is actually give us 1.5 times damage on cannons and ballista. Normally these things are going to do 180 per hit. They're actually going to do 270 damage now every time that a cannon hits. Green's going to be loading up that first cannon and then pre-firing this one. We're trying to wait for a specific time to make sure that we don't shoot this cannon and he gets flinched. Turns out that window is actually gigantic, so we can really just shoot that cannon whenever, because we want him to get up to the barrier as fast as possible. One of the conditions for this quest to end is that the barrier defense health is displayed on the quest assignment, like the complete the assignment little menu right there. We're just waiting for that to appear, and then once that does, we can fire our Dragonator. Hey Green, where's my Dragonator?
Right here.
Thunk. 2,424 free damage. That's a percent damage. I believe it's
10.
10? Yeah, 10%. And then ideally this finishes in 2 more cannons. Waiting for a specific voice line. There it is. And Green's going to hold this one, not firing anything, because we don't want to accidentally flinch it out of a scripted footstep that it has to take. And the quest should end
soon. TM.
Now?
There we go.
There it goes. Sick. Very good. 10:09. It's a great time. I mean, it's not sub 10, but you know.
Yeah.
But no, 10:09 is still a great time, and that is Zora 2. So it's the second partial 90% category, but we are taking it all the way to the end. It's also our first high rank quest, and now we are in the high rank portion of the game. Zora Madros also gives us a commendation, which we are going to use to upgrade our weapon even further, switching back to Switch Axe for the next couple of fights. So here the handler is telling us about some weird things happening in the waste. Some particularly strong monsters are appearing in areas that we haven't seen them in before. Turns out there's a Pookie Pookie in the desert. What he doing there? I don't know. Let's go find out. And when we find him, we're going to ZSD him in the head until he stops moving. Ooh, that would have been smarter to craft that beforehand and then probably go into the shop because you're short 1 trap tool.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's backups.
Should have said something. Yeah, there's absolutely backups. I mean, you're just going to shop before Pinkin anyway, so it's okay. Just want to make sure that you have the 3 that you need for high rank Anjanath.
Which I will. I use 1 shock here.
Yeah,
and grab 2.
Yep, you'll be fine. Oh, do you have the... Oh, yeah, you just won't have the pitfall for Pinkin now because you used it. Okay, and you don't really need that. Just comfy. So this is introducing to us the track gathering mechanic. We are now in the high rank portion of the game, which is going to be asking us to gather tracks. This is also the game's way of trying to slow us down, so we spend more time hunting things. But heck you, Capcom, we don't listen to you and your slow tactics. Instead, we are going to barrel through this. I'm going to let Green fight this Pookie Pookie here. It's very similar to the first fight. In that we're just going to chain ZSDs together, but we do it a little bit differently because we can take advantage of some eating AI that he does in this one. ZSDing during that roar, absolutely beautiful. Ending that a little early so he goes to eat. And then during this eating animation, we can just take advantage of it because we want to get a Clagger while it's eating here. There's that Clagger. There's the finisher. And clutch clawing right back on. 1, 2, and ZSDing again. We're delaying that ZSD when we get onto the monster, so we can get the finisher as it's coming out of the Clagger animation, because we can't get another Clagger while it's in a Clagger. But so far so good. A blast proc here would be a godsend. Hey, look at that, a blast proc.
It's supposed to be cap ready now.
Absolutely, yeah. Little unfortunate backup, but his AI is very predictable. It's just gonna run right into that. Nice. Not even close. All right. So there are 6 question mark Rathian tracks that we want to gather while we are here. We have to gather in total 400 points, and we have gathered so far 60 of that. Now, the way that tracks work, we usually just divide it down by increments of 10. So 400 points becomes 40 points, and the tracks that he just gathered, instead of them giving us 10, they gave us 1. So we've got 6 out of the 400 that we need. The next segment of the game, we are going to be exploring the Wildspire Waste some more to gather an additional 300 points. That'll give us 360. And then the last 40 are going to come from the high-rank Anjanath that we fight. We are trying to do this as fast as we possibly can. So to explain tracks a little bit more, tracks can spawn in one of 3 patterns. Those patterns are not equal in any way, shape, or form. Some are slower, some are faster. And especially on Pink Rathian, some give us more research points, and some give us less. So we are hoping for, what, 2 pattern 2s? Is that what you want here?
2 pattern 2 is ideal. Yeah.
Yes. So we're hoping for 2 pattern 2, and so far it looks good. But we have memorized the way in which these patterns spawn and ways to identify which pattern we're on. Look at that, pattern 2, beautiful. So Green's going to go through and collect here. He's going to get 18 points total, and then we are going to leave this expedition for a optional quest instead. If you ever played this game, you know of a mechanic called Drunkbird. Drunkbird is when you go on a quest and the game drops you randomly in the world. Hey, Cactar. Hi, Final Fantasy.
Hi.
How you doing? You don't often see those. You have a very low chance of spawning, so it's cool. It's cool to see that guy.
Yep. I am intentionally not grabbing that scale.
Okay, yeah, because you don't necessarily need it, and it is really slow.
Yeah.
Man, look at you, thinking on the fly. But we know where these things spawn, and like Green just said, he's intentionally skipping one. So he'll have 17 points coming out of this, which is perfectly fine. The minimum number of points that you can get off of one of these is 15, so it's perfectly safe to skip one of these tracks, especially on a pattern 2. So here, we're going to skip that Drunkbird animation, or that chance for a Drunkbird entirely, by launching an optional quest from the camp that we want to start at in the quest from an expedition instead. Just a neat little thing. IL runners use this strategy to obey rules that would say that you can't use Drunkbird. So here we get to kind of do the exact same things. We start from Camp 1, and then we can run through here. There's actually a RNG time save that if you do take the Drunkbird and actually get dropped in the forest on a pattern C, is the fastest possible pattern that you could get. But it's just too much RNG to both get the Drunkbird and the pattern C. But instead, Green's going to be gathering the last 13 points that he needs here. And then we'll be done with the track gathering for Pink Rathian. Quick safety sleep herb there. Very smart. Very good. Gillying up so he can avoid getting bothered by the monsters here. Gathering these 2 footprints, and then this last gash here, and then returning from quest. So I really like this too. We get to see this. Abandon quest and return from quest right next to each other. One's 2 inputs down and one's 1 input down. If your game drops an input and you aren't paying attention, you can accidentally hit abandon quest. And when you abandon, you do not get the research points that you just gathered. So you have to do it again. It's happened to me like 3 times in runs. It's awful. So we've been gathering Rathian tracks, and those tracks are pink. So obviously, the next monster that we're going to fight is an Anjanath. We're going to go and fight high-rank Anjanath, very similar to low-rank Anjanath, in the sense that we're going to be using ZSD to Clagger lock it. But this fight is a lot harder. He's got, a lot more health, but it still takes about the same number of ZSDs. It's either 6 or 7. But we're going to be taking advantage of just the timing, the natural timing of both the amp state how we ZSD and the natural recovery of the switch axe gauge to perfectly position ourselves in a way that we can just get all of these ZSDs in a row with claggers to just trivialize this fight. I hope you get this one. It's such a cool showcase of switch axe.
This one's also easier to recover from bad blast RNG.
Oh yeah, much easier because we have so many more resources now. But we're going to be using 2 pitfall traps and 1 flash pod throughout the entirety of this. Gotta walk forward a little bit, nice, and immediately into ground combo. Good, right on the head. See in the chat, what is ZSD? ZSD stands for zero sum discharge, and it's that attack that we just did right there. One more hit's going to give us the clagger, and that's going to start our clagger chain. Green just counting out to 2, just making sure that he can time the end of his ZSD to the end of that clagger animation. Perfectly timed, as always. Now, the 4th ZSD that we do is actually going to break the head, but our amp state is going to end by then. Is that the 4th or is that the 3rd?
I need one more because I got bad blast RNG.
Okay. You should be fine here. None of these knock you off. There we go. Rolling, morphing to get some of that gauge back. Oh, you could have done an aerial reload there. That would have been sick. Not that you would need it. Yeah, but that would have been really cool. He was waiting for a specific part of the animation there to get Anjanath in a specific spot, and also wait for gauge so he can do this. We want amp state again by the time we get back on here, so we can continue ZSDing. We get this little flail from the flash, both pods, and we're just gonna go straight into capturing it. Beautiful, beautiful Anjanath.
That was perfect.
Even with that bad blast proc RNG to skip a clagger, you got really good AI after that, which was entirely luck, but he was, smart enough to capitalize on it. It's just really good because, like, a lot of,
He was just still in his roar animation. This one, because of the terrain, you can get the next hit off while he's in the roar.
No, I was talking about your last ZSD before you had to trap because you were ZSDing during an attack animation. Because it literally did 2 attacks that it can't bite you off of. All right, so that gave us all the research that we need to complete the Pink Rathian investigation. Oh no, I spoiled it. But it's a Pink Rathian. Beforehand, we're also going to do some safety shopping, get some extra trap tools, just to make sure that we have enough materials here to finish this out. We got now access to 3 shock traps, so we should be perfectly fine.
I only have 1, and I'm not sure how that happened.
What? Thunderbug?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, never mind. I already had a shock trap crafted, that's why.
Yeah.
Alright, everything's fine. I have an extra.
Yeah, you're perfect. You're perfectly fine. And you have plenty of flashes for this, too.
Yeah.
Oh, you actually do use Switch Axe for this.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make up your mind. Switch Axe or SNS? Too indecisive.
Yeah.
Alright, so Green has a really cool opener for this to force an Enrage. We want to get Pink Rathian Enraged as fast as possible to get it out of this area. This area is terrible. This area is the worst. So what we're going to do is take advantage of the stealth mechanic here. Unfortunate Clutch Claw. Completely missing the head. So now we have to wait for attack animations here. But we want to triple hit the monster so it goes into a enraged status, and then we're lined up with the wall. We can get the wall bang off. Nice. 2% damage, followed up by Switch Axe shenanigans. Actually got the head. Nice. Pink Rathians is also a roar that we can immune. That bomb was very close to you.
Yep.
Still taking advantage of this, but we are not going to time this out because we don't want claggers, we don't want control up here, we just want damage because we want to draw the monster down. You should be fine, right? Where was that going, Rathian?
I don't know,
it wasn't even nearly close.
I think if that was aimed at me, I would have died.
Oh, well, maybe a cheeky Divine Blessing proc or something. You'd have been fine. But we're now pulling Rathian down. She's going to jump here, which gives us an opportunity to flash. And we can immediately Clutch Claw right back on and continue to ZSD. Now, this is when RNG starts to take over a little bit. We can't really Clagger Lock this monster, so we're going to be aiming at its legs to try to flinch it and trip it. We also want to get... we want her to use her backflip attack. It's going to put her in the air momentarily, and while she's in the air, we'll have an opportunity to flash her. Being very careful here. Rathian attacking into walls is very scary. This monster is literally a moving hitbox. There's our backflip, there's our flash, there's our opening to ZSD. Nice Clagger. We can just follow it up again with another ZSD. Not worrying about spacing these, we're just going to do full ZSDs anyways. And we have extra flash pods to be able to lock her down here, since she will try to leave now. Both pods are on the ground back there. We are now dropping the shock trap. Very clean Rathian. Despite the opening, which was just clutch claw targeting, that was really clean. Quick jump down here to grab an extra flash bug, because we will need these again later. It's not as relevant for the strategy that we use, but it is definitely a safety strat, and it's free to go and pick that up, so we are. But that was the last monster to capture. And that was the last monster... Oh, that's like the last large monster. We're now moving into the Elder Dragon section of the game. So we have a really long track gathering section here. If there are any donations, that was a great time, or any other announcements, that was a great time to take them. Because there's really not much that we have to talk about, but we can talk about it, halfway through. It really doesn't matter.
There are no current new donations, but I can definitely fill in some time here. If you do want to donate, you can do like Marinade did in the chat. Just !D. Click that link and you're off. A donation of $10 can get you eligible for all the prizes available. There's a Game Over Cancer t-shirt. There's a Tumblr. There's Streets of Rage 4 Steam Key and other Steam Key games. So definitely get in for that. We did mention earlier that I think we can get to 1500 by the end of this run, but we are running out of time. I guess we got like 45 minutes left or so. So let's see if we can get. Yeah. Let's see if we can bust the goal of the marathon.
Yeah, let's do it.
Shout out how great this commentary is. I don't know how you guys can talk that much for 2 hours.
Oh man, well, we love this game. We'll talk about anything. We'll talk about the most obscure things with this game too, like running over cliffs running over a ledge to regen stamina. It's the dumbest stuff. We love this game.
There's the thing when you find your gem, when you find the game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This has been the game for the past 4 years too. All right, so like we mentioned before on Pink Rathian, these tracks are spawning in one of 3 patterns. Green is identifying that pattern when he first loads into the area and then executing said pattern. This is one of the better ones for sure, especially with starting from Camp 1.
This is the best one starting from Camp 1.
Yeah, well, there you go. Green has all of the numbers. He has the stopwatch. But the difference between this and the Pink Rathian, instead of 400 points, we only need 200 points per Elder Dragon track gathering. And all of the patterns always have 200 points on them. So we only have to go to an area once. Up next is the Wildspire Waste to grab Teostra's tracks. Hopefully you get the good one. I would like to see a pattern one here.
Yeah.
I love your rain at these graphics. It just looks like dancing ants.
Mm-hmm. In and out.
Historically, though, this section has been very painful for speedrunning. It wasn't until Iceborne that they added more tracks to the patterns to make it easier for people to gather tracks. And then we were like, oh, hey, we get to take advantage of that now. Was it pattern what, 2?
Yeah.
This one's not bad. I like this one personally.
Yeah. But it could be faster.
You're right. How terribly rude of me. I'm so sorry. The slowest pattern too, getting the 3 slowest patterns just on tracks also results in like over a minute time loss.
A minute and 40.
So you could be on an amazing pace in this run, get to tracks, and just lose it all right here. It has happened before. It will also happen again.
Did I miss a foot? No.
No, you're good.
I haven't had this one in a very long time.
This should be 8. Yep.
Okay, yep.
And then 14 is at the next fur.
No,
Right.
this is 14.
That's
was at-
14. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then it's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yep. Yep. You're right. Yeah, so the furs, the seared furs, they provide 20 points, whereas the footprints only provide 10. So, we're just trying to keep track of that to make sure that we didn't miss anything. It's very easy to shut your brain off, think you did everything right, be short 1 point or 2 points, and then have to come back here, and it's very upsetting. But we also double check here too in the end screen, and Green also is opening up the research menu there just to double check while we're moving. But we'll know 200 points here, and we'll be golden. Boom. 210 because he grabbed an extra footprint, but we won't talk about it.
Listen. Saw nothing.
This is 1 or 3. See if he gets 1.
Pattern 1.
Nice. Very, very nice. This one is very fast in comparison to its brother, pattern 3, which takes like 15 seconds longer?
20.
Yeah. This pattern's really nice. This area is also really nice too. If you're short, flash bugs is a little detour to take. If you're short, might seeds is a little detour to take. Could always do that.
That loses
But
more
then,
time
you
than
know.
just eating at the canteen.
Yeah, exactly. But next is Green's favorite section. This is where the really cool movement of this game comes into play. Something we haven't talked about is that the cutscenes happen in engine and manipulate in-engine models. So that's why our character, even in cutscenes, just look like our character, because it's not a video, it's not a pre-rendered video. It is a live rendered, stage. It's very, very neat how they achieve that in this game, but that also means that our position gets manipulated after every cutscene. So we're going to take advantage of that in this next session, just to save a couple of seconds here or there as we do this gathering. I'm going to let Green talk about this section because it is absolutely it's his favorite, and if I talked over him for this, I think he would cry.
Yeah. You would get no more strats from me.
I've gotten like 3 just watching you today.
So first off, this is similar to the Mercer skip we did at the beginning. The Admiral has a slow walk radius around him. The interesting thing about this, though, is the radius to start slow walking is much bigger than the radius to leave slow walking. So provided we never get caught, we can actually pass him much sooner than if we just stayed right up next to him. So we're just going to be behind the handler. She's a very good visual cue for the radius, and waiting for a voice cue right there. And now we can just run past him and sprint the whole rest of this way. It saves what, a minute and a half?
It saves about a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
And-
insane, because you only walk for about half of this distance. About right here, when the Admiral gets there, you can start running again. But all that other space, you're still walking, and it takes forever.
Yep. And funny enough, even after this was found, the world record holder didn't know about it for a while. So the world record just had a minute of free time loss in it.
Yep, it's great. This is also where Dodogama Rock Drop is coming in, so thank you everyone who donated to either saving or harming the Dodogama, and we have chosen violence today. This does technically lose 60 to 90 seconds. Or, God, I do that every time. 60 to 90 frames. I keep doing that. You're messing me up. It loses a second to a second and a half. But it's great. Dota Gamma is a fan favorite, so if you guys like Dota Gamma, make sure to show him some love. And if you guys hate Dota Gamma, thank you for choosing to drop the rock.
Yep. But before that, we have to encounter an Uragon. And Uragon, when he starts, will start out with a roar, which would normally flinch us. But the cutscene actually puts us right on the edge of the roar radius. So provided we move backwards at all, it just won't hit us. So we can do that now.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Okay, now it's time for Dota Gamma. So you may be able to see there are 2 spikes in this zone. We're going to gather this first set of spikes and dodge into the cutscene trigger, which will put us right next to the second set of spikes. However, that spawns the Dota Gamma who can attack us, which is why we drop this rock to CC him so we can gather these. The option to spare Dodo, we would have just equipped the Ghillie Mantle so he couldn't see us. Which is a little faster, primarily just because you saw I had to stand still for a second there to aim. Your camera is actually locked for a brief amount of time when you come out of a cutscene.
This cutscene trigger also just moves you to the other end of this area, which is super cool.
Yep. And then the reason we did these tracks last when the game actually wants us to do them first is because we just discovered a whole new area. So if we opened our map to go to the other locations like we were doing earlier, we would have to wait for all of that to fill in. But because we do this last, we can just return from Expedition without having to wait for that.
Beautiful, beautiful track gathering. Great job, great job.
Thank you.
Now is the fun part. We are in Elder Rush. The last 6 fights of the game are all Elder Dragons. 5 fights? 5 fights of the game.
5.
Yeah, 5 fights of the game are all Elder Dragons. Elder Dragons cannot be captured. They have to be killed. They have to be slain. We have to get them from all of their health to none of their health. Every single one of them. Green's going to trivialize this using melee heavy bowgun. I mean sword and shield. And our beautiful, beautiful timed PRs. This is the very fun part of the run too. So we are downgrading our switch axe to get the materials back, and then upgrading our sword and shield up to the height maximum that we can right now, which is short one upgrade. But we are going to go and do Nergigante. Remember how he's been bothering us on Zora Madros? Well, now that Zora's gone, he wants to fight us. And so we're going to go and take him on.
Yeah.
You may also notice that we don't eat here. It's faster to not eat, and we can still take advantage of Nergigante just like normal.
Mm-hmm. The Elder's Recess is the slowest camp to eat at, not only because the canteen is so far from where you spawn in, but it's also backwards from where you need to go.
Wow, you can really run away from that and still pick it up. That's funny. Baiting out some AI here to make sure that we can get an opening to this wallbang, and we're going to start this fight with 2 wallbangs, tenderizing the head and dropping some pods here. What doing the double wallbang is going to do is going to put the monster into enrage, and we're also doing this in a way that we get to take advantage and do a little extra damage to him. What's really nice too is that while we're also on his head, we have a little bit of armor against his attacks, and it's also going to bait out an attack that makes it easy to wallbang him too. Not really too much of an issue trying to do that, just sometimes you get unlucky and you get into a part that you don't want. We've also queued up a flinch, and then immediately queued up this KO. Now we've got this nice control against the monster, and we're going to use this to break those white spikes off and break his horn right there. Beautiful. So, let's talk about Nergigante's spike mechanic. On his wings, tail, head, and arms, he will grow spikes periodically throughout the quest. Oh my gosh, this boy.
Let me
getting
leave.
aggravated for you. Since he's enraged, he's going to follow us into this next area, which has environmental traps that we can drop on him. Sure, it's 5% damage. What we care about is getting this long drop animation so we can do a PR into the head. Nice. Just don't get hit by this. And drop the next rock. So what we're doing is timing out our CC in a way that the spikes have a chance to grow back. When the spikes are white, the hit zone is actually the best hit zone that Nergigante has, and when those spikes break, it results in a topple. So we're actually timing out this PR now to get it to break the spikes when the knockdown finishes. Now that he doesn't have spikes, we have to get a different form of CC. Alternating the spike break and then a clagger to get the next piece of CC. Grabbing onto the arm there, and then immediately PRing. Look at that, perfectly timed, the white spikes are back, PR finisher, breaks it again, and then rinse and repeat.
Clagger, which is fine, because his arm should be growing spikes soon.
So that was a de-aggro. He was trying to transition since he is under the 30% threshold, because he wants to go take a nap instead. Taking advantage of the roar there to do a falling shield bash. Nice head break, and we can just do the same thing again now.
Oh my god. That attack, had I been a half second later, would have hit me and likely killed me.
Mm-hmm. But we don't have to worry about that. Instead, we're going to kill it very, very quickly and efficiently. That's Nergigante. We're just taking advantage of the mechanics that are present in the monster, and also the fact that we have the defender weapon to lock down the monster entirely. Very, very cool strategy. So we've done our Elder Track gathering a little out of order too. The game only wanted us to look for Nergigante tracks right now. So when we return to Astera, we're going to have a bunch of NPCs telling us to, like, hey, go find these Elder Dragon tracks. And we're going to be like, hey, we already did that. And so it's going to be a little weird movement here where we're going to talk to everybody, then talk to the research scientist, and then talk to everybody again, and then go on some quests. It's a little weird. It's a little out of place. This is actually the faster way to do it. It saves a single load screen, which is really funny. We want to make sure we take everything there too. Oh, goodness gracious. A 332 is amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't even save a load screen. It saves an input.
Oh, it's just
To do it
an
this
input.
way.
Sick.
Yeah.
Sick. One input. One whole input. That's a single 5 frames. That's real funny. 332 is amazing on that quest too. Great job, Green.
Thank you.
Absolutely gaming out here right now. But we will be using Sword and Shield all the way to the end, because like you saw there, we can use Sword and Shield to time out our damage to get the PR finisher as animations are ending, so we can chain animations together. We're really going to take advantage of that on the next fight. How monsters alternate control is dependent on each monster and each monster's part. For Nergigante, he has a clogger and a head flail on the head, but we're actually skipping the head flail entirely by getting the part break from the spikes. So we're just getting the part break and then the clagger. The next monster doesn't have a clagger on the head, which is amazing. We also now have the strongest weapon in the game. Let's go. We're giving our cat there, too, the Pookie Pookie weapon that deals poison. That's going to be used for the last fight of the game. We'll talk about that more when we get there. Instead, we're going to continue on talking to all these NPCs and unlocking the Elder Dragon quests. Because we've already done all the gathering, and you can see it's like, hey, go, search this area for these tracks. And then it says, okay, now go talk to the chief ecologist immediately. Because we've already done it.
Now, this next section, there is I don't know if theoretical is the right word. There is a 2-second-ish time save you can do here, but it makes the run a lot scarier, because if you mess up some movement later on, your run does just die. But the fastest movement here is to not talk to this guy until you're doing your last Elder Dragon, because he is on the path you want to take then. But we're not going to do that, because I'm not quite confident with that yet.
Yeah, it might be too risky to do 2 hours into a speed run.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, we're going to come up here and talk to the handler, accept our quest to go and fight a Kushala Daora, and then talk to the what is she, the third fleet? Second fleet?
Third fleet.
Second fleet. Third fleet? Third fleet. Third fleet leader. We're going to talk to her really quick, and then unlock our last quest for the Balzak, and head off. So, thresholds. Talking about that again. We need to make sure that we meet the head threshold on this monster every single time. What does that mean exactly? There is a amount of damage that can be dealt to a body part until certain controls happen. In this case, there's only one control on Kushala Daora's head, and that is a topple. If we deal enough damage to the head, the monster just falls into the ground, and it gives us a huge opening to attack. We're going to time out our damage specifically to chain those over and over and over again. Green's going to be very conscious of his positioning to make sure that he doesn't over-damage the head, because if he does, then we lose the lock entirely. This also starts out in a really neat way. The monster's already flying. We can just flash him out of the air, and then Green does a really cool opener, where building up a tenderize on the head. Third hit is going to get him to turn. Wall bang. And now the monster is going to enrage. Before that happens, we're going to claw uppercut, get the full tenderize, drop off of it, re-equip flash pods because it's safety, and then begin the lock. So now Green's going to be targeting both kind of the head and the neck and the arms with the PR to make sure that we get enough damage on the head to continue getting these head knockdowns. We're just going to let him do this. So we want to chain these all the way together, all the way until the monster's dead.
Oh, okay then.
The neck is a head, right? It's like
Yeah.
part of it. That counts. Game thinks so, at least. That only works like twice. Ideally, we just keep hitting the head over and over again. And as long as Green's timing is good, he won't get hit. He won't get knocked off. Instead, he'll just be able to take advantage of this entirely. Ooh. Going for max distance PR finisher right there, I see.
Mm-hmm. It was either that or get caught on the leg.
Yeah, and we don't want that. Get caught in the leg, you get pushed to the no-no zone of the monster.
Land,
that's
please.
unfortunate.
Your head is a hit away. There is an alternative here, which is hit the leg and land my finisher too early. Unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate. So Green's gonna have to get a couple taps in to get the head topple back. This is just the unfortunate thing, just a single mistiming, and we kind of lose the lock. That would have been really good, but that blast proc just did not go where you needed it. Being a little annoying here, but you're really close to it.
Oh.
So now that it's trying to leave, we have enough flashes to keep him here. This is the safety that we were talking about. Just making sure that, because we lost the lock, we want to make sure that he doesn't get away. 20% health, probably less actually, since we were attacking the legs a little bit there.
There we go.
Nice, beautiful. Not a perfect lock, but a very good one, to say the least. Only losing it, for the last two PRs is stellar, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And since we can't capture, we're always stuck with these 60-second end timers, which at the end, Green's going to be trying to gather more flash pods and these might seeds that are on the other end of the universe. Those might seeds are going to be really important for the last hunt because we're going to need to use 2, maybe 3. And we just want to make sure that we have enough, as well as enough to craft for all of our other materials. Next is Valhazak.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I can start explaining this idiot. Okay. Valhazak is going to look a lot harder than this thing, because it is. It doesn't have well-defined controls on its body parts. Instead, we have to kind of put it into a pseudo-lock. What we mean by a pseudo-lock is that it's dependent on the attacks that it's going to do, so it gets to attack a little bit, and we can just kind of lose it for no reason. You know, because we're kind of dependent on Slinger Burst part tracking. We want the Slinger Burst to go into its chest, but its chest is also being covered by its arm, its back leg, and its wing at any given time, so it can just kind of go anywhere. You could just lose this pseudo lock because your Slinger Burst just didn't go into the spot that you thought it would. We are going to eat on this quest and start heading back. Valhazak is also a unique monster in that it controls effluvia, which is the essence of life. That's a word that existed before this game, fun fact. The essence of death. Essence of death! I am running on a half a cup of coffee right now. I'm surprised I made it this far. I'm surprised I made it this far without making a mistake. So the essence of death. Effluvia is a terrible status because it operates as an AoE around it. It can create a cloud of effluvia around it, and when we do get afflicted by effluvia, our maximum health is cut in half, and our current health is also cut in half. Effluvia also deals tick damage to us all the time. It is just not a pleasant thing. But if we can break its chest, which is what we focus on doing during this quest, we can stop it from doing effluvia. Really good RNG starting out here with triple bites that puts us into a great position to wallbang. We're gonna get that wallbang off, and Green's gonna position himself behind the wings to claw uppercut the chest. Beautiful positioning. Tenderizing the chest also is gonna drop us Pierce Pods, which, if you've picked up anything, is a miniature shotgun. Now we're just waiting for the next bit of RNG to come out. Seeing what attack this is, we are now gonna start doing 300 damage to the chest. Green's counting out damage, making sure that it goes into the chest, and we can tell because we'll get that little tenderize icon. It's the triangles around the number. Nice cheeky back hop there to get the iframes, and then once we've dealt that 300 damage, we can now Slinger Burst PR to this chest to get that chest flinch. What we are going to try to do is chain together those chest flinches or claggers to make sure that we can keep up this damage. I think that went into the chest. It actually did.
The damage did, but the tenderize didn't.
Yeah, but that's awesome. So Green's going to be alternating between these claggers and the chest flinch. If he finishes a PR and he doesn't get a clagger, he knows that he is one hit away with a Slinger Burst from the Pierce Pod to get that chest flinch. If he gets a clagger, he knows he can tenderize, get the tenderize off as long as it goes into the chest, deal a little bit of additional damage, and then he is just one Slinger Burst away. But this is the pseudo lock, and like I said, you know, it's just kind of dependent on what he's going to do and where that damage goes. And this is only possible because this thing drops Spear Spot. If it didn't do that, this fight would be hellish. Mm-hmm. So Green just got afflicted with effluvia right there. You see his health just dropped in half. So he's going to have to take care of that, unfortunately, because if he gets hit a single time, it will kill him. So immediately after this tenderize, he's going to have a moment where he's going to use a Nullberry to get rid of the status condition and then use a max potion to put himself back at full health. Just a safety strat because this thing can and will kill us if it gets the opportunity to. Then right back into the lock. Oh, I didn't get hit by that. Nice.
Nope, there's
it has dropped 3 pods, so it is close to death. Wow. Get triple slams? You rolled that? What's happening?
That was by distance.
Okay, I was about to say. Oh man, good roll there too. So you're in the air. Fortunately hung up on the back leg, getting some hits into the chest. Oh my goodness. That was fast.
That was a very fast Val.
That was a very fast Val. The pseudo lock does not go that well, and that went swimmingly. So Green's we gotta pick up some items here really quick, and then probably check the quest timer because I'm curious too. I know you are.
Like 420, I'd guess. 430.
Oh, dude, 420 on Val Hazak. Whew, this place. But we're gonna be gathering another Mandragora to make another max potion, and then some more Might Seeds, because Might Seeds are going to be very important here soon. We've got one more Elder Dragon, and then the final boss. So if you guys are waiting for anything to donate, now's the chance. You know, this run is almost over, and Green is gaming out of his absolute gourd. A 422, absolute madman.
Gaming.
Dude, I am slow clapping right now.
Speaking of blazing, Val, we did get a blazing amount of donations. If it's a good time,
Yeah, we can do it now.
Yep.
We have a long walk, so
perfect. So we got Marinate who donated $5 and says, "Love this event," and Heck Cancer. Heck is right. And then Kate8976 comes back with $50 and says, "Is that a challenge?" To which I promptly and surely donated $10 myself and said, "It most certainly is, Kate. Let's get to that 1500." And speaking of that 1500 goal, somebody just laughed in the face of it. Patent 10 donated $200 and said, "F cancer, we win." And that brought us over the 1500 that I said that we can meet in this run.
Let's
So
go.
we do win.
you guys,
We don't
thank you
have to
so
stop
much.
We don't have to stop there because Strizer pressed the button and moved it to 2K. Challenging everybody. Let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going.
This run's been amazing.
Oh yeah. No, Green's been doing a fantastic job, dude. So the next fight, this is Teostra. I wanna explain it a little bit here before we get into the quest. Teostra has two auras that it can have, either a blast aura or a fire aura. We want blast. Pray for blast. Blast just makes this fight a lot easier. Hey, we got blast. Nice. So Green's gonna do a triple hit to force the enrage roar. During that enrage roar, he's gonna back hop it to immune it, and then immediately going into a launching vault and mounting the monster. Very first mount we've seen. We picked up Crystal Burst, which always flinches a monster, and as long as we use that Crystal Burst while we're riding the monster, we'll flinch it, building up the threshold to complete the mount. Very, very cool piece of tech here. We were always trying to find out a way to start this fight early, and eventually we got to this. Unknown tech, you can Clutch Claw while in the air from a mount, which gives us enough time to tenderize the head, run back up, and PR it to begin the lock. So unlike Teostra, or excuse me, unlike Kushala Daora, Teostra has two forms of control on its head, the topple and a clagger. So we're going to be alternating between those two, and we have to take different strategies each time that happens. On a clagger, we're going to grab the clagger, and then we're going to rush a PR as the moment we touch the ground. On a topple, we can do that falling shield bash and then do a timed PR into its head, and we want to try to land that PR finisher as close to the end of the animation as possible, because depending on what attack he does, he can knock us off of it. Green is doing a fantastic job holding this, though. We're just going to let him do this. See what else happens. KO is scripted about halfway through this, too. Just delaying this PR to make sure that he gets the finisher on the head when that animation ends. Good, really good recovery. And continuing the lock. Sometimes the neck is the head, and we got lucky there.
And unlike Kushala, I don't have to actually worry about over damaging, because even from a fresh threshold, the PR finisher alone is enough to beat it.
Absolutely insane. Just shows you how amazing these defender weapons actually are. They were best in slot in the game before Iceborne came out. It's actually amazing. Oh my goodness. Dude, what? That was so fast. That is a beautiful Teostra. Beautiful.
Nearly flawless.
Nearly flawless. I don't have any words. There's nothing else. I have no other words. He's gaming out of his mind right now. I'm like blinking and these things are dying in like 3 minutes, not even 2 minutes. All we're trying to do right now is just make it to the Might Seeds. That's it. That's all we have to do. And then that's going to give us a little bit of extra going into the last fight of the game. The namesake of this category, Xeno Jiva. He's the one. He's got our insurance claim. A 316? Are you okay?
That is the fastest tail I've ever done.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. That's insane. Anyways, now to get your fastest Xeno Jiva ever.
Oh no.
415. You can do it.
What?
I don't even know if that's possible.
The fastest anyone's done is a 448, so...
All right, 445 it is. So, we have the strongest weapon. We have all of the equipment that we're going to need to take on this fight in the best way possible. We're going to be bringing our cat for this last fight, too. So, you get to say hi. How do you always get a green one? How do you manage?
I don't know. He knew.
Always gets a green one. But we're going to be bringing the cat with us once we get into this quest. We can actually pick up the cat, let him rejoin our party inside the quest. So we're going to enter here, eat, and pick up a very, very, very important tool, the stone. Best slinger in the game, because it's going to enable us to do an entire full lock on Xeno Jiva. The full lock is not easy. The full lock has a lot of things that can go wrong during it. It requires a lot of micro positioning, micro adjustments. Like, you have to pay attention to every facet of what's happening here, and it takes an insane amount of just game knowledge to do this consistently and to do this right. So what we're going to be doing is tenderizing Xeno Jiva's left hand. Okay, immediate runny. That's not the ideal situation, but it's going to get him closer to this rock. We're going to drop this rock on him, which is going to give us an opening to tenderize the hand. This is phase 1. We want to get through phase 1 as fast as possible, and we're using our positioning and our movement to bait out that running animation just to get him in the position that we want. Especially on gigantic monsters like Xeno Jiva, you can actually bait out attacks to them very easily. So us just running away and having our back facing him baits out that running attack. And we can use our positioning to bait out other attacks, but because we have the cat here, it's a little less consistent. Right now, all we're trying to do is just get that first hand flinch, which actually broke the hand too, which is beautiful. We can go directly into a timed PR to then begin the lock. Now, after each PR finisher, we're going to be slinger bursting to close the gap and rushing this PR, timing the last hit. Unfortunate step forward in phase 1. There's really not much that we can do about that. We just kind of got to let it happen. Ooh. But Green's just trying to make sure that he's positioned next to this hand so he can start his PR the moment that he gets that flinch. Fortunately, we're only about 2 PRs away from this phase ending, and Green's going to try to time the end of his the last PR so it's built up the threshold 1 attack away from flinching. So when we get into phase 2, all he has to do is tap it, and then he can immediately go into a PR.
I mistimed it, but
we'll be close to it at least. Yeah. Oh, so will you even be close to it? Is it going to be like 4 hits away, or do you have to build up the threshold entirely?
It's going to be like 3 or 4 hits away.
Okay, so that's actually good. Where Xeno spawns in here is a little wonky sometimes. We got the bad spawn, which is him on the other side of the universe. This also baits out the Runny's attack, so we just gotta be careful sometimes. But beautiful, there is our hand topple, and now we just continue with the lock. What was that movement? Like I said, the cat... Oh, so we should probably talk about the reason why we brought the cat. The cat has a poison weapon. That poison weapon will get us 2 to 3 poison procs a fight, and poison does a lot of damage. Oh, sick rock.
Goodness.
Green, I'm sorry, but the B-reel just popped.
Oh no.
We're actually in a really good position to keep this lock. When the monster gets pushed up against the wall, it actually keeps us a little bit closer, which gives us a little more time to hold this. I personally prefer it when this happens. It doesn't happen all the time.
In the phase
That
2,
step forward
is fine.
Oh yeah.
Because he combos
Yeah,
it
because
into
he...
this every time.
Yep. And we can position ourselves in a way to always get this. We didn't talk about this, but there are 3 things that we're trying to always manage while we are doing this fight. That is white sharpness, our might seed buff, and the tenderize on the arm. The tenderize on the arm has ended, so that's why we didn't get the hand flinch after that PR. So what Green's gonna do is he's gonna use stealth to, unfortunate, to force it to re-engage with us and get an engage roar. Bad AI here, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't want to clutch on and tenderize because it is a hit away. And if I get the topple from the tenderize hit, it's not consistent to keep the lock.
Yeah. Fortunately, he's got to like wait there because keeping the lock is still faster. But now that he has white sharpness back and his might seed buff, we are a-okay to continue. Only a few more of these hits. Time is coming up soon. It's going to happen very, very quick, so get ready on that. Probably both yell it out, but the moment this monster dies...
There we go.
Nice time. Good stuff. GG's, Green.
GG.
Still sub 6.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Absolutely
Absolutely
beautiful. That is Monster Hunter World.
You did it.
Yeah. Very cool run. Thank you for having me. Watching this run at Game Over Cancer Fall 2020 is actually what got me started with it, so it's kind of cool to come full circle with that. Yeah, thank you very much. Bagel, do you have anything you want to say?
You know, just that it's been an absolute pleasure watching you do this speed run and seeing how far you've taken it. The game would not be where it is at right now without you. If you guys are also interested in learning this speed run, you can join the Monster Hunter speedrunning community by searching Monster Hunter on speedrun.com or going to speedrun.com/mh. You can always check it out there. Yeah, that's it. All I want to do is just plug the community. Great job, Green. That was a fantastic run.
Yeah, and thank you for commentating.
That was indeed a great run. I had a quick look at the leaderboard, and I guess only 3 of you have ever achieved this sort of time in your history of the game. So to pull it off in a marathon is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and that time is actually, the time that you're seeing on there is in-game time with loads removed and the timer paused during cutscenes. We're looking at RTA, and that was still an insane RTA time.
Absolutely. And a lot of messages from the community towards Green that are very prideful. Journal donated $10 and says, "Let's go, Green. You got this, buddy. So proud of you." So a lot of the similar feelings reflected across the community of the Monster Hunter that have been hanging out today. Thank you both.
everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. That'll be it for my hosting, but don't go anywhere because if you like this group, well, you're stuck with them for another while. Now, Jaw Bagel's going to be running Monster Hunter Stories 2 right after this. And the lovely Mirny will be hosting for this block. So we'll play some music. Don't go anywhere.